Let's get this game underway. I am excited. This is two franchises with tons of history, of rivalry between them as well, in terms of expectations that are set as well by the fan bases for each region as well, or each team, I should say. And I don't know which direction it's going to go in. The Shock,
it's crazy.
The Shock, I think, they've locked in, they've committed to these compositions, and they seem determined. They're going to play the rush, they're going to play the zombie comps. Philly, very flexible, but sometimes that flexibility got the better of them.
Yes, it definitely did. They kind of seemed paralyzed by choice and made some odd compositional swaps. If we want to talk a little bit about history, though, neither of these teams have had opportunities to fight against each other because despite being amazing rosters, neither team made it to a stage final throughout the whole of this year. And the last times they played against each other, well, they played 4 times in the 2020 season, where both squads were the #1 and #2 coming out of the West. That is amazing history and a rivalry that developed last year against both of these teams, or with both of these teams. And we know that the caliber of players on both of these rosters is through the roof. So as long as they have a good read on what kind of comps they want to play and the style and strategy they want to bring to the game, this should be a barn burner.
All right, well, I want to get this game underway. Let's finally introduce our first team. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the Philadelphia Fusion.
The Fusion are back. They're contenders once more. Fusion look reinvigorated.
Carpe has come to play today, man.
EQO. Oh, he takes it to the backside.
Masterclass by the damage dealers of the Philadelphia Fusion.
The Philadelphia Fusion will push it through. Hotma has the alley-oop. Are you kidding? Alarm does it all. One of the very best players in the entire Overwatch League. The Fusion are back. They're contenders once more. Rascal manages to find 4. Both support, both tanks.
For the Fusion, they absolutely are going to be giving it their all. They do not want to get eliminated right here, right now. This roster finally bringing everybody together. Poco just flew into Korea as well. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't, actually.
I don't think he's going to be seeing any play time, but at least he's there, you know, just to be with the rest of the team. But they're finally getting that synergy going as a roster. And you don't want to see that potential getting squandered straight away in the beginning of the playoffs.
Absolutely not. This is the kind of the caliber of player that is on this roster should have been able to perform at a much higher level this year, but they were hamstrung by visa issues, by problems with getting their full roster in place. They started out with a ridiculous 4-0 performance in the main melee and still weren't able to make the stage finals. It feels like this team has been cursed from the very off in the 2021 season, and now that they finally have this backline together, Alarm and Funny Astro, we're gonna be able to see them go up against another greatest of all time potential for backlines with the combination of Twilight and Violet and FD God on the other side of things. But Alarm and Funny Astro are not going to feel outclassed by anybody. You can stand them toe-to-toe against any backline in the league.
Let's introduce their opponents. A rivalry that really stretches quite far back. Please put your hands together for the San Francisco Shock.
The Shock are starting to feel it a little bit now, Mitch. They're starting to play that aggressive style and play aggressive as a unit.
Crack back again. This is 2020 Shock. This is championship winning Shock.
Smurf, what a performance! The primal rage of 2 kills. Joy Yobin, what is that?
The Shock, this could be their tournament to ascend back to previous form.
While again living the life of the DPS player on the Baptiste, they look extremely well oiled.
Oh, you madman! That is ridiculous! That is actually ridiculous! You have got to be joking.
The Shock are ready to rumble and they're already rocking and socking.
For the San Francisco Shock, everything is on the line for this match, quite literally. The expectations of the three-peat of making history, it could just all disappear right here, right now in this elimination match.
But the Shock, the reason that people believe in them, the reason the desk, the fan vote, you've staked your hair on it.
I have.
All of the community as a whole is high on the Shock, despite the fact that they haven't been the best team in the West this year. And the biggest reason for that, in my opinion, is that we've seen a story similar to this in 2019. Okay, in 2019, they did dominate the regular season, at least the latter portion of it, but they lost their first game of the playoffs. It was a 3-4 match to the Atlanta Reign, and then they ran it back, going 20-0 0 in maps to win the championship and hoist the trophy for the first time. Then they're able to come into the 2020 season and hoist the trophy again, becoming the back-to-back defending champions for the 2021 season. It's been rough. Their new additions, the loss of some coaching staff members has made the Shock not quite the juggernauts that they were in the past, but it still feels like it could happen.
Oh, it certainly could. A lot of people have their faith behind this roster, this squad, and the pressure that's on their shoulders as well to perform. I mean, it's hard to even empathize and think about it from their perspective as well. But they've got to do it here and now. And both of these teams, both of these franchises, the fans are expecting more. The Philadelphia Fusion fans, for the longest time, they want to see this team go far. Nepal is going to be the first map that we're seeing these teams play against one another as well. And it's going to really set, I think, the tone overall for this series and how it's going to be playing out.
The Philadelphia Fusion fans have waited a long time to win something. It feels like this year they were scorned many different times by events outside of their control, but if they were able to make a run from the lower bracket, it would mean the world to them, especially defeating the defending champions right here. Half the teams in the Overwatch League, Bren, have hoisted some kind of trophy, be it a stage final or a championship, whatever, before the Philadelphia Fusion. It's been painful to see the Philadelphia Fusion fans have such talented rosters and go so far. The 2018 Grand Finals, both of these teams representing the West in the Final Four for 2020. And this year they match up against one another. Philadelphia Fusion love running these balls end kind of compositions. You're going to see quite a lot of that from them. And the Shock, I would expect to see them playing Rush here on Nepal to start things out. Who will impose their will upon the other first? One team is likely to crumble and break when you have such a distinct stylistic matchup.
Yeah, these teams, I mean, they've really put a lot of their stock in these different compositions. For the Shock, it's all about these rush compositions, all about Lucio Moya. For the Fusion, they are a lot more flexible than that, but Shockwave caught out on the side there. Not sure how that happened. Presumably the flashbang to lock them up, but an early pick like that is going to be setting, I think, the tone here for the Shock. They're going to be able to get control of this point when it unlocks in 2 seconds, or at least be advantaged in the next fight.
Philadelphia Fusion's tanks. Oh my word, another headshot coming out from Nero, long range, both looking like snipers, both DPS from the Shock. They don't even have Ants in.
What a wall. Yeah. Blocking them off for a moment here. Now the Shock going to be looking to get a bit of that percentage up. The Shock so far have not really showcased that they are really willing to flex over to these different compositions that the APAC teams have been playing.
Yeah, not too much ball zen been showcased for the Shock. Super, I guess you could argue, more flexible tank, if anything, especially when you consider that they want to move over to Ryan at times. But there has been a lot of stirrings within the community asking, where is Smurf? Where is Smurf? It's not going to matter if you get these early picks before a team fight can even occur.
Power drive engage there from Mano just off to the side. Alarm has to be kept safe. He is a major win condition for this team as well, being able to just pump out the damage, staying alive. For the Fusion, they're just looking for that one opportunity, that one engagement. Wall's going to be splitting up here. The Shock now just all grouped together. They're making it very difficult for really the Fusion to find any kind of separation. They might be able to get a pick off. Glister, that is an aggressive angle to take, but his team is going to be backing him up.
Hopper has been frozen in the midst of all of that as well, and Mano looks like he got booped, and that was a Deadeye through the Amp Matrix as well. Mano, the little skulls pop up on Mano instantly there, despite his enormous health pool.
No way to get out of it. Already, in the blink of an eye, 67%, by the way, on this control point in this initial round.
Are the Fusion in the game? The Fusion are in the game, right? They are fighting. They do know what they're supposed to be doing, right?
They need to get something. Carpe will be marking one of his targets. The power drive engage as well comes in at the same time. It forces out the immortality field. Pulse bomb in hand. Carpe is going to connect. That is a lovely kill. Glister falling now, but it is the 1-for-1 as Mano ends up trading with his own life for it. That's going to be almost 90% in counting for the Shock. They're still in this fight.
Super's taking a ton of damage. Alarm commits the Discord orb over to Nero, pops his Transcendence as well, as the rest of Philly falls forwards.
Yeah, right across as well, committing all the ultimates. It's going to be the overtime over here. The Shock actually want to be investing into this. FD got ends up using the Samurai. They think they can still win this one, and why not? Already the DPS are popping off. Shockwave out of the fight now. If the Shock can at least group up here and survive for the oncoming assault. Not going to be able to do so. The Philadelphia Fusion are able to at least collect a lot of these kills when it was looking shaky.
Crucial cleanup from Hopper as he takes down 2, 3, maybe might get the finish here on Super as well, but did a great job in the midst of that team fight. He's been taken down, however, and this does open a bit of a window of opportunity for the Shock to start getting back into this fight. The Fusion with Funny Astro, who took an icicle to the head earlier on, still have that rally and almost double support ultimate because Alarm does so much damage in the fights.
Yeah, rally is committed, but Shockwave gone again. Glister is finding so many pickoffs. The post form is going to be a connect. And Super brought down to about half HP, but it just forces the ultimates out of them. With the Amp Matrix dropped down, it means Mano again taken out. No tanks online for them. Hopper just trying to survive. The points flipped back over, but it's just Alarm. The Transcendence to try and stall this one out. He did get the pick onto Violet, but is it? Surely it's not going to be enough. Funny Astro just battered away, swatted by the big hammer of Super here. Fusion going to be rolling on to the point. The objective just to try and keep this overtime going. They might be able to at least prolong this fight, but it doesn't look good for them.
Incredibly limp first round there for the Philadelphia Fusion. They need to get sorted, get more of a grip into these rounds. It's very difficult, though, when the San Francisco Shock's DPS start things off with picks all over the place. Shockwave died before the first team fight could begin, and then Alarm got picked off about 15 seconds later, and that essentially gave a free 40% and ult cycle towards the Shock, which is a horrendous way to start a round if you're thinking about things from Fusion's perspective.
We see the Shock are teasing something here. I feel like Violet and FD are not ones to really mess around. Nice little replay from earlier, actually. This is when Super ended up getting that pin. Honestly, round winning for them, to be honest with you. Getting that trade kill onto Hopper, it set them up for a nice team fight next time around. But here we go, rolling out. The Shock are going to be coming out with something a little bit different.
Yeah, they've run these kind of comps a couple of times before in the past. The double shield with BAP Mercy. They're one of the few teams in the league that are happy to run BAP Mercy compositions. Usually when you see a Pharah Mercy, there's going to be an Ana on the floor, but Violet is just so good at Batiste at being able to put down the healing and the damage pressure that he's very happy to pull that one out when required too. For Philadelphia, they need to be very careful with their rotates. They've got to stay away from Nero. Nero has to do damage whilst avoiding the sightline of Shockwave.
Yeah, good rotations here from the Fusion, but the Shock will be taking control of the point up. A bit of contest coming through from them. It's Mana just trying to make sure that they don't get it too easily. And Immortality Field is forced out early as well. Nero looking for a pick with these rockets, but again, point control goes their way. That's just from the Fusion trying to out-rotate them, maybe catch a player, maybe get the opening pick that they're looking for, but so far, it's quite slow in terms of the way that they're approaching it.
You would really want to see Hopper there, or Mano, contest the objective. How on earth does Alarm
just
die?
Just a halt into the spam!
Yeah, Super got juggled upwards somehow as well, didn't he? Was that the pile drive that allowed him that sightline to even see the Zen?
Oh, not over yet, though. They're getting a lot of pickoffs. Super actually ended up moving over to the objective there just to stop them from capping it. And it meant that they didn't actually have him there to take up a lot of the damage that was coming their way.
These are incredibly different compositions again. The Shock's comp, the two tanks are not usually going to be layering their shields together, but more playing on off angles, so Choyobin can play on the opposite side of the map to the Shock. And the Fusion's comp wants to kind of rotate away from the Shock, continue to do poke damage with Shockwave and Alarm, whilst Carpe can harass Violet in the backline and try and distract their team.
Oh, what a need from Choi with the grass there. That's going to be no value gain from him. What a rock as well, Choi! You gotta be kidding me. Carpe just shut down there, the prediction coming through. Nero as well is causing so much pain and suffering for the Fusion. No one really dealing with him. Now we start to see the ultimates committed though. That's gonna be the Gravitic Flux. Hopper is gonna be rewarded. That's Violet taken out, but Nero, it's gonna be a little two-piece for them. It's an even fight, but Bob is doing all the work. Shockwave just sets it down. It locks up the objective. They can't really play it, and Choi, I wonder as well, he's kind of left alone here. Does he still think he might be able to do this one? The power drive to save him. Mano is alive in this one. The grass though from Choi is a bit of a last-ditch effort, and it's only going to be staggering him.
The Philadelphia Fusion retaining control of the point there is crucial for them. They have such a mobile comp. In theory, Mano should be able to keep this objective alive for Philly, even when Shock are winning the team fight pretty significantly. Nero's now made the swap over to Tracer. FD got to Brig as well. A bit more of a brawly comp for the Shock. Should be able to run down players like Hopper in the backline if they can get angles onto them.
It's a nice little stun there. Mano able to roll really anywhere here. Glister just going to be channeling up the Deadeye. Takes out one of the shields. Looking for a few more shots though. And a flashbang also connecting, but not enough to disrupt that power driver that does come through. A lot of damage onto them. The tank line of the Shock is in trouble. And Matrix is committed off to the side, but going to be able to get anything else from this one? No, the Fusion are just happy to just play backwards. 97% now. The Shock have to start contesting and have to start pressing across this point. They need something a bit more.
And now the Shock are forced to make compositional changes as well. Super on the ball allows him to contest the objective. Nero was trying to play the point as well, but he gets taken down by Alarm. There goes Choyobin, and suddenly the Fusion have a gigantic advantage.
Yeah, this just looks like the Fusion going to be walking away with this one now. Way too many pickoffs going away of the Philadelphia Fusion. A nice rebound, honestly, off the back of that initial round when it really looked like they weren't even in it.
Yeah, and crucially too, every time a Shock player would play the objective, be it Choyobin or towards the end there when it was Super Nero, you're facing a crossfire barrage coming out from Alarm on the Zen in the backline, and then Shockwave as well on a separate off angle. No matter where you position on the point, if you're trying to cap that objective, you are taking fire from the Philadelphia Fusion backline. Look at this, for example, on Alarm. Nero's just out in the open trying to take a duel on the point with a Discord orb on him and Alarm shooting him. No matter where you position on that point, you are out in the open, and Philly position themselves beautifully to capitalize. But here we go, some good old-fashioned Overwatch to finish things out on Nepal.
Yeah, they're going to be matching up the compositions as well. This is the flexibility of the Fusion really showcasing it. Sound from what a wall! Super just separated from the entirety of his team, and it's an easy pick for them.
I do not think they were expecting Philadelphia to be coming out there with a Symmetra. The Sim and the speed boost allow Philly to get there so much faster, and Hopper has that extra damage, the poke that comes from Sigma rather than running a Diva. Philly read that push and destroyed the main tank.
Still time for them though. They're going to be trying to play around the point. The Accretion's going to be connecting now for the Shock. They have a bit of an advantage if they try and take the up close and personal brawl fight, and there you can see Hopper just gets ran over. Shockwave though, fully charged up, is going to be putting out a ton of damage, but so is Glister. The opposing side, the Symmetra players, definitely putting in a lot of work here. Glister, okay, just wants to try and destroy that teleporter. He's going to be putting in the damage as well, so the Shockwave eventually goes down.
And that advantage is very short-lived for Philly. They were happy just for, what, 10 seconds, 15 seconds? Now they're going to have to attack again. Carpe has managed to generate a little more of his May ultimate. You don't normally see Carpe on these roles as well. Usually they'd have Rascal coming in to play the May for them. But you have to play a huge range of comps when you play in Nepal.
Okay, a bit of a loss in direction there. Matrix into the corner, dropped down. That's FD, got taken out.
Lucio diff.
Yeah, Simwall is also in play. Super wants to let loose this Shatter, but everybody's hiding behind it, waiting for the opportunity. Stunned up right around the corner, and he's got 2 shields to worry about. The wall is going to be splitting them up now with the Blizzard on top of it. The Shock are just trying to back away. I don't know if they want to take this fight. They're just getting ran over. And crucially for the Fusion, they did manage to flip that point over as well without too much. They've been building up the percentage the entire time.
Gorgeous call from Philadelphia, though, to invest that Blizzard. You might be thinking, well, they were winning the team fight. Why did Carpe throw his ultimate away? But the Shock were regrouping, waiting to push back in. And if they'd allowed time for Nero to get up to his ult, they would have had a serious battle on their hands. This way, they maintain control of the objective, and Shock are going to be the ones on the back foot, despite having an ult advantage.
There's a Shadow going to be blocked up now. Super with one of his own in hand. Doesn't even want to offload it. But the Simwall and the Blizzard, the Shock committing into that fight, it's just an instantaneous win for them.
Superb wall from Nero as well. I was talking about the fact that Philly should be able to read this push coming through, but it doesn't matter if you get walled like that. They didn't rotate quickly enough, and they all got stuck between a rock and a hard place. Nero with the wall at their backs. Look at this from Mano. Oh, this is the previous team fight? Oh, no, there's this one.
Oh, Carpe.
Yeah, brutal, that one.
Yeah. We see another quick engagement, though. The teleport onto the point. The shot around the side. Super does not get anything from it. Hopper instantly uses the Gravitic Flux, wants to try and find some value from it, and will connect it onto a bunch of targets. With Troy taken out now, the Shock don't have much firepower coming into this next fight. They're at a massive disadvantage, especially with Violet falling.
Immortality Field is so much later for Philadelphia as well, due to all of that initial damage, and it keeps Mano alive, allows him to play that aggressively, and they take the lead once more. This round has been so back and forth. Alarm has an amp matrix to be able to work with. The Shock have been going for straight TPs to the point pretty much every time.
Yeah.
So Philly a position on the high ground ready to react to this. And that high ground is also a phenomenal place for Alarm to use his ult.
Now, what do the Shock do against this? The ult disadvantage, they don't have control of the point. To clear away a lot of these turrets, the wall is good. Right round the corner, Super, Earthshatter in hand, tries to go for the pin, almost catches onto it, and now they're down and out. Funny Astro committed a sound barrier, but I think it was completely blocked by Nero's wall. What a play in the moment, taking that one away from them. And a lot of ultimates committed from Fusion with nothing gained.
Yeah, that's the most devastating part about it. Funny Astro's ultimate gets 0 value. It did actually go off, but there weren't enough players around to be able to see the benefits. And now Fusion, they're trying to push back in. They have a Blizzard to their name. But look at the positioning of the Shock. They're so far forwards. This looks like a kind of trap play.
Yeah,
they're going to try and catch them as they teleport to the point.
They're playing fast, straight off the back of it. Philadelphia Fusion are going to have to get a good read on it, but they've already taken way too much damage. This could be the map. Blizzard dropped down. Carpe just trying to lock them up for his team to clean it up. It could still be possible. Hopper, the Gravitic Flux. It does connect onto a few, but they've lost so many players now. It's going to take a miracle for them. Swinging away. Super's going to be separated from the team, but the wall from Nero, it doesn't allow them to touch. And that's the San Francisco Shock taking map number 1. It couldn't have been closer.
It really couldn't. That final round was so back and forth, decided by some enormous individual plays. But one player that was consistent throughout it, and was consistent yesterday on Control as well, is Nero for the Shock. Yesterday it was on Reaper, today on May. In that final hour, those walls were crucial at being able to split, divide, and conquer the Fusion.
And this series is really kind of playing out in a kind of fashion where we're going to be getting the answer to our question. Is it better to play a variety of different compositions like the Fusion have been doing, or is it better to try and focus your attention onto just a handful like the Shock have been doing? Well, we'll be finding out the answer as well on the other side of this break, as we're going to be continuing the rest of this series. Map 2 coming up in just a few.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
It's that time of year again. Say goodbye to Mom and Dad. And Carl, of course. Meet all your new dorm mates. And hit the books. Between solving the world's issues, late night study marathons, and heck, maybe sneaking in a little hacky-sack sesh on the quad. When can you find time for the Overwatch League playoffs? We've got you. Overwatch League Perks' new 3 for 3 deal is here to save the day. When you watch your favorite Overwatch League teams fight their way through the playoffs with your linked Battle.net account, you'll earn League tokens and 3 new Overwatch League skins for every 3 hours watched. 3 hours, 3 new skins, up to 9 new skins. With all these new Overwatch League skins, you're guaranteed to be the coolest kid on campus. Just look at these kids. They're absolutely dripping with swagger. Alright, we get it. You're a young group of students having fun at college. Oh, okay. Where did you all get the confetti? You do know someone has to clean that up, right? No, no, stop that. Stop it right now. Cut it out. Overwatch League Perks. They make everything better. Wait, what are you guys doing now? That isn't a thing you even do at college. Like, oh yeah, hey, that chemistry final was really tough. Let's go wave some smoke around. What if people are paying thousands of dollars every year for this? What is...
The series is really living up to the expectations. So even in that first map, really it could have gone either way between these two juggernaut teams, with a ton of history between both of them as well. And, well, you can see from the player cams there as well, they've made quite a number of substitutions on either side for both of them, looking to chop and change some things coming into map number 2.
It is, of course, Fusion's map pick, but let's start with the shock here. They've got Smurf in at the main tank position. Ans comes in for the first time in the 2021 playoffs as well. And that means that we're going to be seeing some Winston comps probably. And that normally means Ana. So Twilight is also in here for FD God. So you've got this kind of theme running here of Winston Ana comps and long-range snipers with Ants. So that's the kind of read that the Philadelphia Fusion are going to have into this shot composition. On the other side of things, it's EQO in with Carpe to be able to play here on their map pick.
Yeah, and now it comes down to the Fusion and what they can do. You can clearly see it's all smiles. Funny Astro, I mean, he's having a whale of a time here. A lot of nodding, a lot of agreements. Something's going on here, and they're probably feeling pretty good, I think, coming into this one, obviously, with it being their map pick, heading into things as we get into Assault.
Yeah, and the map that we're going to be going to here as well is, spoiler alert, Volskaya.
There's no spoiler.
No, there's no spoiler there. It was right there. Perfectly timed, in fact. So you're expecting, or at least I am expecting, the Philadelphia Fusion to opt for Ball Zen comps. That's what they have been liking to run. They sometimes go for Orisa comps, but it would be unusual to say the least for Volskaya. So I'm anticipating they run some Ball, some Zen, probably EQO coming in to play Sombra here. And on the other side of things, we've seen Smurf's Winston be phenomenal when it comes to Volskaya in the past. It's been one of my favorite maps from the shock, and to heck with the win rate, because Smurf is just a beast on this role. Plus we get to see Ants, who was such a key part of that 2020 run where they dominated through the playoffs and were able to lift the championship at the end.
Volskaya's where we'll see potentially a bit of a comeback occurred for the Fusion, looking to try and even up the series 1-1. Remember the stakes here as well. This is an elimination match for the 2021 playoffs. Here today, one of these teams will be going home. The season cut shorter than they were hoping for. For the shock, that means the hopes of the three-peat. For the Philadelphia Fusion, it means just that chance of lifting a trophy for once in the franchise's history. And they're going to be looking to try and do it right here, right now, Volskaya. And comp-wise, we're seeing a bit of a tease. The shock, actually, we can talk about here on the defense.
Not quite what I was expecting. I thought we'd see them try and run the Winston double bubble comps, for example, or maybe even Winston Diva, and see Violet playing the Ana. Instead, what they're teasing us with at the beginning as we head into a pause is some Ball Zen comps. Seeing Violet pick up the Zen, I've been wondering all season long why the shock is not opting into more Zenyatta-based compositions to get the best Zen in the world on his carry role. It was such an important pick for them throughout, honestly, all the times in which they've been great. Not just 2020, but 2019 as well. Bless you, Choyobin. I think you sneezed there. So I'm excited for this. Getting to see Violet v Alarm on Zen.
Oh, wow.
That's what dreams are made of.
Yeah, it really is. It's a matchup we've been waiting for quite some time.
5, 4,
Now the timer ticks down. The Fusion looking to roll out with the Wrecking Ball comps themselves as well. Alarm just giving them a quick bit of speed boost. Probably going to be back. Yeah, moving over to the Batista, actually.
The Batiste?
Nope, switching it back.
Okay.
That was looking confusing.
That's more normal.
Yeah.
That's more normal. And so the Philadelphia Fusion, the big difference here is that they are not going with any form of long-range hit scan. It's EQO on Sombra. So they're looking for hacks, they're looking for EMPs to try and bust this one open. And on the other side of things, you've got Sniper, Aficionado, Ants staring down the barrel.
Yeah, looking for playoff level performance from previous years from Arns as well. Heavy expectations for him, and the Shock now just rotating around. The Fusion have managed to get in here without much disruption. I'm going to spot them here. They tried to actually go off the back of that. EQ almost got just that neutral hack onto Smurf to lock him up. Fusion were ready to jump on it, potentially get a pick.
Hopper eats the dynamite from Ants as well, so he's not building up towards that Bob too much. As Ants just sits with Harmony Orb because they know they're going to dive on him.
What an engagement. Oh my word, they just rolled straight across them. Alarm is being pressured pretty heavily here, but with Twilight down, the Shock, they might just start to crumble. They've got to try and find a way back into it, but the whip shot sends Smurf right into the drink.
That's a phenomenal start. Mano onto the objective. The San Francisco Shock pushed away at this point too. And both of the Zens have done pretty equivalent damage. But this backline of the Shock is just getting penned into a corner. Choyobin trying to escort them, but there's a Tracer 1v1 that goes the way of the Fusion. And what do these stragglers do for San Francisco?
What do you do? You're just feeding your body onto the point to try and keep this one going, but it's not looking good unless Violet wins this 1v1, and it's not possible. Not when Carpe gets the support. To the 1v1 to the 1v2. Ultimate's committed though, Bob onto the side,
he's
but
so sad.
hacked up, pushed away, can't do anything. The Shock's still committing into this fight, and they just topple over. That's going to be 5 minutes now for the Fusion.
And a really just slow positional win for Philadelphia. They take control of important areas of the map, they stop the flank coming through from Nero and Smurf, and then they find a punish with a really nice dive. The San Francisco Shock's composition is vulnerable to plays like that because they're running Ants. He's a very diveable target.
Post bomb for Carpe now. Looking to create some openings for them, but the Shock's positioning is so spread out. The mines going to stop them from pushing across. Nero not going to be getting anything with the post bomb, and the EMP comes through. That's a Transcendence though from Violet, and Carpe, oh well, he got the mark, and at the end of the day there's a post bomb finding it. Already cleaning up a lot of these kills. The Fusion just investing on not even every single ultimate at their disposal, and it's looking easy for them now. 4 minutes, 21 seconds, a capture on checkpoint B. They didn't even need the Transcendence.
You blink and you miss it. I don't understand how that happened, Brent. There was an EMP, and Violet dodged it, popped his trance, and both of his tanks died while he transcended the EMP. There should be massive amounts of healing available for them there, and yet both the Smurf and Choyobin perished while Violet was still roaming around utilizing his Zen ultimate. It's a great stick from Carpe. That's a phenomenal play from the Philadelphia Fusion, but other than that, how did it go so very, very wrong for the Shock? Point B is normally an incredibly defensible location, and that, I mean, the walls crumbled.
Yeah, positioning-wise, they were playing pretty scattered, pretty far back, probably anticipating obviously the EMP coming their way, but it
normally if you get the trance off, it should be a good enough counterplay.
Yeah, it really should. Remember as well, we have live trivia, live.overwatchleague.com. You can participate in it, which support has over 100,000 healing in a single match this season. I actually don't know the answer to this one.
Yeah, I don't know. Pretty interesting though.
Yeah.
I've got my suspicions, but again, I don't want to influence the markets.
Yeah, the vote. You don't want to throw anything else. Some insider trading.
Yep. I don't know why Hopper's trying to get inside the truck. Yeah, let's take a look at this replay as well. Hopper eating up this pulse bomb. That was really nice. A pulse bomb on the other side of things from Carpe. Sealed a bit of the deal.
Yeah. Didn't get to see exactly how it all transpired. But
yeah, but you got to see the nice play from Violet there. But now we do see the comp swapping up. This is what I thought the Shock would be running. The Winston Ana kind of compositions, with Twilight picking up the Ana for them. And Ants moving over to the Soldier 76. Consistent damage output and stability with the healing field. But the heals have been reduced recently in favor of more damage. I think that suits Ants. He's a very aggressive player.
yeah, he wants the damage probably, that kind of trade-off. Not too worried by the biotic field. Now, just spamming out the Helix Rockets. What a stun, but no damage to capitalize. Can't quite get that kill onto EQO, who's now on the Tracer. But a Shock, they're just looking to really make this a quick capture. But the Fusion not losing anybody yet. A big Bionade onto Alarm. There's no follow-up for it. Carpe ended up just pushing him away with a coach gun. Shot after shot, almost taking down Smurf in the process.
That's a great coach gun tonight. Smurf unable to build up much towards his primal, but Twilight nearly has the nano boost. They need to stop Smurf getting value out of this nano. A big coach gun, some kind of power drive would be monumental here for Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's a bit scattered in terms of the approach. The Helix Rocket not connecting again. Ans now onto the low ground. He's in trouble. Needs a bit of help from his team. Just going to be playing back with them now across the point. And now the nano boost. Look at this from the Fusion. He gets nothing. The whip shot, the rotation, everything is there. Fusion, such a heads-up play from them. They knew what was coming their direction. And now they look to try and surround and conquer there the San Francisco Shock. They've been left onto the point. EQO drops down the post bomb, but he's not going to be finding too much at the back line. What a sleep from Twilight, and it will result into the kill. Now the Visor. You got to respect this one as well. From long range, you can see them just shredding through Alarm, almost taking him out, but it's going to be the ultimates committed. Mana with the mines across the point. It will fall in the end, but still winnable for them, unless Ants can be dealt with.
And he does. He goes down. Nero in the other end, the DPS player from the Shock being able to find a kill in the back line there. Bombs traded as well. Who can Choyobin catch? Nobody, just there. Funny Astro popping his rally as well, helps keep Hopper alive, adds additional health and sustainability. And it looks like the Fusion are going to be able to hold on to this.
This fight is all over the place. Twilight is in, hits a big Bionade onto the tank line, but where is the win condition now for the Shock? They finally regrouped with all their players. The Fusion have held on with that rally engage. Now we see Smurf. He's built up the primal. He has to commit it. Funny Astro tries to escape and misses the shield bash, and now he's found the next target. But the coach gun pushes him back for about a moment. Now he's back in it as well. Carpe will be next. A lot of kills going away at a Shock. It looks like they should be the inevitable winners of this point, but the time was really bled off.
Yeah, a 3-minute defense, I think you can be pretty happy about if you're Philadelphia there. You rotated well, you stopped a lot of the offensive pushes from the Shock. The biggest thing now that you have to stop, though, is the snowball attempt. Twilight has nano boost. Ants has got a pick as well, winning the hit scan duel against Carpe's Ash.
I mean, listen, I don't know how it happened, but the Shock aren't going to be questioning it. They have the nano boost, and now they want to offload it onto Ons. The visit. Oh, I mean, okay.
Why not on the Winston?
The Visor, it gets nothing. He's on the low ground.
On the Winston.
And Smurf doesn't do anything either. He leaps in, maybe anticipating it, but again, that one play. They get nothing out of the ultimate. They're still going to be trying to fight this one, but Alarm is on the high ground and still pumping in the damage. Nobody's stopping him right now, and it means the Fusion are going to be able to hold.
The silver lining to that catastrophic but Valorant attempt from Ants was that the Philadelphia Fusion got forced away from the point. As the shot came in, that tac visor, the nano tac visor, pushed away Philadelphia, and they were able to get a tick. 45.9%. That's permanent progress. And as we see, the DPS make some adjustments here. Carpe on the Tracer, EQO on Sombra. Philadelphia have double support ultimates. They should be favored in this next fight. Unless Nero can come away with a huge pulse bomb, they don't really have too many win conditions. Once this ult cycle starts, Philly are going to be in a prime position. It's all about getting that nano online for the Shock, and using it on the Winston most of the time to help your ult cycle.
Smurf's in, quite orchestrated in terms of the way he leaps in there. Bubble drop down as well, just trying to play around this one. Going to start to put pressure onto the point, but that means the Fusion, they walk forwards, the mines, the rally. Right into the back line. The Shock just kind of cut up here. They actually can't even approach this one, but now Smurf has the primal, pops it off. He's looking to try and get a couple of picks on this one, leaping around, but again, he can't really get too much done here. Just chopping around, doesn't really get any picks at all, and the Fusion are just buying time. The self-destruct pushes them away, the Shock can't really support Smurf, and he goes down.
Here's the Tac Visor. Can they get anything done with this? Alarm falls. Mano as well. Ants with the Helix Rocket manages to eliminate that. A good bash from Violet as well. The Philadelphia Fusion only have 3 alive.
There we go, and Violet just putting in so much work right now as well. Peeling for his team. The fact that Ants didn't die in that fight could be critical for them trying to win this one. They have to burn down these targets though. Hopper falls. It's going to be the Transcendence being played out now. Violet uses the rally just to give his team the extra armor they need, but the Spawner's coming back in from the Fusion. Definitely defendable for them.
EMP nearly here from EQO. He's only 10% away. He's got to survive.
Violet dies!
What a pick!
What a pick! Has the post bomb. This could be it! What a stick! Finds it! Twilight's down and out! There was no attempt for them with the EMP on top. Everyone's locked up. Nobody can go anywhere. The Shock are going to be pushed away.
It was a great attempt though. The Shock getting another permanent tick of progress. They were really close to being able to complete that one as well. Individual heroics from Carpe on Tracer as he took down both players in the back line of the Shock. One just with his pulse pistols and one with the bomb. Just buying time for EQO. As EQO gets another one. Discord Orb onto Ants and they get him from a distance almost. Philadelphia have made a shift. Carpe on the Reaper might be looking to play aggressive or just this one to burst down Smurf as he looks for an engage. There is no Nano. There is no Primal. This Winston is looking like a tasty snack.
Nothing for the Shock. Push into this. Apart from Hans with the Visor, he's just built it up now. EQO has not been spotted into the corner. He's trying to build this one up. Now the Visor comes through. Going to force the Wraith form out, which means Carpe can't be playing into this fight, but they're pushed into the corner. Now with the rally armor as well, the Fusion got a lot of armor to work with. Still making it work. The Transcendence pushing right into them now. The Shock are really being pressured, but it's actually Mano who's the one to go down. Carpe as well, they overstepped themselves, but with only 17 seconds left. The Shock, they're trying to finish with a bit of time. Now the ultimates come through. EMP into the self-destruct. Nothing to be gained from it with Funny Astro falling. Fusion now just looking to try and get this one to the overtime. They've dropped so many players. If they can get that, it is going to be looking very ideal for them.
Mano's been hacked. They do get it to OT, and now it's just about the Shock completing. As player by player falls, it seems inevitable here. The Shock are going to be able to get checkpoint B, and that's on the back of 2 huge mistakes from the Philadelphia Fusion. Alarm commits his Transcendence far too early. He was leading the charge. He looked like a man taking his dog for a walk. He leapt forwards like the rest of Philly were on a leash. And then the EMP bomb combo was not executed particularly well as well. They did it too late in the fight, and so the rest of the Shock had already forged a path forwards. A disappointing end to what was looking like an excellent defense, but still, this is...
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's unwinnable.
Despite all those mistakes, it is unwinnable now for the Shock. It's a draw is the best they can hope for, and they have to hold for 4 minutes, 21 seconds. Good luck on checkpoint A.
Yeah, it's
is all I'm saying. Good luck.
Yeah, and honestly, full credit to the Fusion for essentially winning this map within the first 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Because their blistering offense is what's really going to set them up for the keys to victory here. Take a look at this replay as well, as Alarm charged into the front line here. And how did Mano end up dying? It's a Bionade that catches onto him and stops that Transcendence healing. Oh, yeah. He gets burst down. But the Fusion at this point had already done the damage, man. It's all in that attack round. Being able to set a 4-minute 20 time bank on Volskaya, the Philadelphia Fusion know what they're doing taking the Shock here. And despite the fact that the Shock made good roster adjustments and have looked relatively strong, that initial blow to their defense, it looks like it's going to cost them.
Yeah, the Fusion with an easy path now for victory in this map. A single tick on checkpoint A. It's quite an easy ask. And the composition they're playing as well, if they wanted to, they could just wait for the EMP, go for an engage like that. The Shock have decided to bunker down. They know that, listen, the only way they're winning this is if they just win every single team fight back to back, essentially.
Yeah, they're putting a lot of faith here in Ants. He has to go crazy. It's too much responsibility to put on one player's shoulders, but he's shown that level of competence in the past. If there was going to be anyone who could come up with the magic, it would be him.
Good engagement from Mano. It pushes them away from the choke point. The Shock, they have to play the point here. They don't have time to give up too much. The Fusion just trying to set themselves up into position. They do force out that recall from Carpe, but he's in a pretty safe position. And EQO just farming up that EMP as well, waiting it out. No casualties on either side. from the Smurf, just trying to pepper away at them, just hunting for something to jump on as well for the Fusion, looking for that one pick to get this rolling.
Here comes Mano. Everyone's weak though. He's timed this a little weirdly.
Choi, so low there. They do take them out. It's going to be the 1-for-1. Hans hits a nasty shot onto Carpe. Shock though, they do end up losing Choi, which means coming back into this fight late.
He should have enough time, I think. A D-Mech onto Hopper there would have been perfect for them just to tick time off the clock. But still, Philadelphia Fusion did a good job at trying to... Hello. All right.
Wow, the reaction from Choi there.
Yeah, EQO was looking for a cheeky hack, and then he would have been able to just farm up EMP off the back of that. Instead, forced to translocate away. But you can see the idea from the Philadelphia Fusion. They want to take things slowly. They want to make sure that their ball and their tracer are set up in great positions to collapse on an EMP. Smurf has been hacked. That means no supercharger. It would be a good opportunity, but their players are not in position just yet.
Instantly uses it. Yep, EQO just stepping forwards, I think, trying to farm up that EMP alarm with a great volley kill that catches Nero. But the fight is already won. Staggered out kills down to Funny Astra now with 2 minutes remaining. The Fusion, they're investing everything now into this EMP. EQO has built it up, but this has been slow going for them.
It feels like it's all going to come down to one final fight. They need Carpe and Mano to be in good positions before they pop the EMP. You can't just throw the ultimate out and run at them. You've got to make sure you're positioned for it to start. And so that's where the shot can generate an opening. If they can kill Carpe as he tries to get into position, for example, they might have a chance.
Okay, rally from Funny Astro, and the Outmatrix just uses responsive EMP, EQO, that's good! The health pack though is there. He's still alive, Immortality Field for them, but that's going to be the pulse bomb and the kills going their way. Eventually Fusion, they invest everything, and finally they get the picks. It's going to be a good start for them now for the San Francisco Shock. Good luck trying to hold on to this one. It's going to be that Gravitic Flux used by Choi, but not too many targets to be found, and yeah, Carpe just having a fun time of it, honestly, not even being contested from the high ground, just able to just mark target to target, take them out. Fusion eventually going to be getting map number 2 in this series. They're going to be evening it up.
And the Fusion looked pretty smart taking things to Volskaya there. They were by far and away the better team. Things got a little hairy, you could argue, when it came to that final round, and they only needed a single tick, but they were very patient, they waited, and they executed well off the EMP. And the entire setup was there. The shot got fundamentally outplayed, like I said, in round 1, essentially, when they allowed the Fusion to set a 4-minute 21 time bank. That's just not something that most teams can recover from. And the Shock, we've seen it in the past, in 2019 and 2020, they always had that little flare of magic to them, where you thought anything's possible. Doesn't matter how far down they are, it's still going to be winnable. They don't quite have that this season. It's been the missing piece of the puzzle. And at the moment, it's led to them being 1-1, and this is anyone's game.
It is anyone's game in this elimination match between the San Francisco Shock and the Philadelphia Fusion. We're going to go to a short break, and we're going to see what these teams have cooked up for us as well as we head into our 3rd map in this series. So you know, you're not going to miss it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Go to takemetomanoa.org today.
Catch all the best game moments and behind-the-scenes trivia from the casters, the league, the players, and more. Visit live.overwatchleague.com to play Pick'em Live to showcase your fandom and see if you can end up on the leaderboard. And yeah, I mean, I've been quite enjoying these trivia questions as well. I wonder as well who our current leaders are, because I mean, we do have a leaderboard.
We do have a leaderboard, in fact. Yeah. All right, well, let's take a look at it as well. Lusulia up at the top there as well. Kind of significantly ahead, if we're going to be honest.
A 5-point lead.
A 5-point lead. Is that even catchable?
Looking like the Shanghai Dragons out here. It's unbelievable.
Which one of these is the San Francisco Shock? See, this is going to test your bias, Mr. Caster.
It's also Lucilia.
Yep, the primary Shock fan we've got out here. Yeah, we've got a couple down there. Spooky Otter. I like their name as well. Down towards the bottom of things, Vanilla Ice. This rivalry, Brent, I want to speak a little bit more about when the last 2 times these teams have matched up.
Yep.
Because towards the end of the regular season in 2020 was the first time that the Philadelphia Fusion had beaten the San Francisco Shock in the regular season. And then heading into the playoffs, the Shock got revenge on them, beating them 3-1. And coincidentally, they were 3-1 over the course of that 2020 season as well. So despite the fact that the Fusion ended up being ahead in 2020, the regular season portion of it anyway, the Shock had actually won the head-to-head matchup. And why are we using 2020 stats? Because these teams have not had an opportunity to play each other in the 2021 season. But we know the caliber of roster is excellent, and they haven't made that many shifts since last year. Talking of shifts, though, here's some roster changes as they head into the next map.
Yeah, and this is going to indicate that they're going back to more standard things that they have been playing previously. Super's going to be in for Smurf as well, as Glister as well coming in for Arns. And notably as well, though, we do see that the support line is staying with Violet and Twilight.
Yeah. Which
does indicate as well that they might be at least thinking about keeping certain aspects, or we could be cursed with seeing the Violet Lucio.
That is possible, but we really haven't seen it in a while, and I would be surprised. Heading into King's Row, my idea for what Shock's composition says is a Reinhardt-centric comp, where we're looking at Bap Brig in the back line as well. And the Shock are great here. I mean, take a look at that. The second fastest of all time, set in 2020, the season, one of the seasons in which they won, beating up on the Toronto Defiant.
Yeah, the map leaderboard presented by Xfinity here. The Shock, obviously, quite comfortable on King's Road. Have been, I mean, many moments as well I can think back to as well where they've just had history set. And, well, might look to do the same here today. They want to take the lead in this series, in this elimination match. Either the Fusion or the Shock going to be going home.
King's Row would be a great place to pull ahead in this series for the Shock. We keep talking up the rivalry and how much these fan bases expect of the two teams. Of course, only one of them can be happy moving away at the end of today. But part of the reason that people still believe in the Shock, despite the fact that they haven't been our best team, I mean, look at the seeding that they're coming in on as well. They're the number 6 seed. They're not up at the absolute pinnacle. But coming into their game yesterday against the Shanghai Dragons, they had won 12 postseason games in a row. Like, that is a spectacular record. Yeah. Winning in 2019, winning in 2020. There's no other team that can boast that. I mean, they have turned into a beast of a team in prior postseasons. And people believe that they can still do it again. I was anticipating here the Shock to be running a Reinhardt-centric composition with the Brig and Bap. That's what I set things up for here. And instead, we've got them running Orisa comps with the Zen Bap backline. So a huge amount of poke damage coming out here from Violet, from Glister, from Choyobin. And Fusion are going to have to try and manage that. They're pretty happy to mirror Orisa comps, though.
Yeah, the Fusion, I mean, the kind of narrative as well that's surrounding them as they come into the playoffs is that they're more than happy to play a variety of different stuff. They seem to think as well, you know, if there's a composition that's more fitting for a particular area of the map or a particular map, we're going to play it. And they've been showcasing a ton of flexibility over the course of their season as well towards the tail end and how they've been heating up.
Is this what you would consider to be the most meta comp on King's Row? No. I don't think I would. The Shimada brothers coming out, Carpe and EQO here picking up Hanzo Genji.
Yeah, this kind of experimentation, it did hurt them in their last series that they played for Fusion.
Yeah, they looked a little off. They just looked at it, they didn't have a set idea that worked particularly well. They were flexing with a lot of different compositional picks. The way that this comp is going to work, Mano's going to take damage, try and feed. I was going to say ult charge to Alarm, but I'm going to finish my sentence there.
Yeah, he's just going to try and feed.
Normally, though, Mano would be trying to feed ult charge to Alarm, and then you can engage with the nano boost and try and make space with your Winston for Carpe to set up on good angles. But that is going to be difficult if he gets caught out in no man's land and hit by the halts.
Well, Nero ends up getting taken out early here. These halts from Super are really good, honestly, at disrupting as well the flow of this. And look at that damage they're pumping in. Mano's just taking so much. They built up the nano boost from it. But Nero dying, he's come back onto the Sombra. And now they are just trying to be aware as well of everything that's going on around them. Mano with the nano boost slapped onto him, sent him straight in. Now we see Bob just coming right out there. Dropped into the corner. Just trying to push them away. Big Bionade onto Super with Nero falling as well. This is a great opportunity. The Fusion, they have to respect the Amp Matrix though. Got to back away from this for the time being. As I say that though, I mean there's a lack of respect being shown there by Carpe.
Yeah, he's just peeking straight into Glister. And the coordination was not there with EQO pressure in the back line at the same time. They're not going to be able to get a tick out of this, surely. As EQO is just taking
Jumping right in.
Another great Bionade though, but Twilight is very weak.
EQO so low there. 20 health remaining. He's going to be remaining alive though from the rally armor, but not enough can be said for the rest of his team. They are just going to be falling. Not even a single tick gained here. The Fusion are really relying a lot now on these ultimates that are coming online. They have a ton of them.
Yeah, they can grab Dragon Strike, they could Nano Blade, they can Nano Mano to make space and then grab Dragon Strike. They have a ton of different ways in which they could approach this team fight. I think the most consistent of them is that Grav Dragon Strike combo. Trying to get value out of EQO is going to be difficult. But here he goes.
And there he goes down, there it is. Now we see the Nano Boost applied off onto EQO, gets the one pick, end up committing a whole load of ultimates into this one. The only ones they saved ended up being the Grav and the Dragon Strike. Makes sense
the two
as
that
well.
I wanted them to use.
Yeah. Well, you use it in an X-Team fight.
I think that was so risky though. To try and win a team fight just by using the Nano Blade, sure, there is potential, but the San Francisco Shock's composition could neutralize a Genji really quickly. If he gets hit by the rock from Choyobin, if he gets caught and can't get value because of an immortality field, or Violet burns it down, or if he gets hacked, there's so many different things that can make EQO's life hell right now.
The Shock are going to be anticipating that this Grav Dragon is online. They're trying to keep an eye out for it. Now the choke point just being pushed up. Fusion just trying to get a good engage off, and there we go. Mana just leaps right back in. Hopper is gearing up for it, just trying to at least get an ultimate off, but look at the way that the Shock are spacing themselves. Mano, he just ends up toppling over.
He's in way too deep without any potential for his team to get in. He's trying to break that choke point by pushing himself past it, but then just walks back into the line of sight. Definitely some coordination issues with the way that he's pushing in and then the rest of his team's taking the space that he's rewarding them. This flank, though, could be amazing if Hopper can land a huge grab.
I don't think they know. Now they do. Yeah, just firing it off, actually. Trying to bait out, actually, the grass from Choi. There's the bubble sent right back in. The hack onto Hopper. Can't do too much now. It's the ultimate's committed on top of it. Gravitic Flux as well. Nice little team fight win there for the Shock. And for the Fusion, sat here wondering, okay, when are these ultimates going to get used?
It's painfully slow pace from Fusion. They've had this Grav Dragon combo now for the last 2 minutes at least, and they haven't had an opportunity to use it. They've chosen not to invest it in the point A fight, and now it's taken them so long to get into position to find value from it this time around. They have forced out the EMP, so decent. But we need to start seeing some momentum gained here from Philly. And Shock respected, they back up.
Yeah.
They've got the trance though, and so Alarm really also needs to throw in a Bionade. They need Grav, Dragon Strike, and Bionade
against
here.
the wall. Trying to set something up. So the trouble is, if they just get onto Super, he's going to fortify and walk out, and that's what they're aware of. Now they're going to be sending it in, though. What is that? Sent straight into the backline. Mano needs to get something done. So close to a pick there, and they are finding it at the end of the day. Everything committed into it, and the Transcendence actually didn't get too much there.
I mean, talk about going for a punt. They hold on to the Grav for that long and then just throw it in. That could have missed. It could have been... there's so many things that could have happened there. But At the end of the day, the Philadelphia Fusion have been able to secure checkpoint B. It looks a bit messy from them, but now they've got a bit of an ult cycle going. They can try and take the next fight with a Nano Blade. We've already spoken about how many things EQO has to dodge from the San Francisco Shock's comp. The hack, the pull, the rock. Seems almost infinite.
Yeah, they are very aware of what's occurring. Anabu's holding on to this one now. They have to respect, though, the supercharge has been dropped with Carpe falling. This slow pace from the Fusion is not ideal. They end up committing the blade.
But Alarm's been hacked.
Yeah, he couldn't use the Nano Boost.
And now EQO are isolated, taken down. This Genji is not working. Now is the time for an adaptation. I would like to see EQO maybe move on to the Sombra here. Carpe moving on to Hangzhou, so EQO could pick up Tracer, Mei, something like that. I mean, the Mei would actually be a bit of a troll pick here, but this Genji is not doing it.
Staying on the Genji.
I don't agree with it, Brent.
Yeah, and now the Nano Boost. I mean, this is going to be applied most likely to Mano.
EQO could play Hangzhou here with Carpe Tracer.
Alarm taken out. They try and dive onto the sleeping target. Twilight actually sleeping up onto the high ground there, but yeah, not happening.
This backline! Look at the lethality! Violet kills 3 in that team fight. Twilight takes 1 as well. Violet is just forging a path forwards. Takes down Hotbar as well. That's got to give you some confidence. Carpe is the player that's trying to keep Violet and Twilight in check on the Tracer role. That didn't work yesterday when you're playing against the Gladiators. It's not going to work today against Violet and Twilight. They're just not coordinated enough.
Do find the pick onto Glister. Now Funny Astra, they move over to the Lucio. A bit of speed boost play for them. The Nano Boost dropped onto Mano. He has built up this Primal Rage, and now he's caught him right up against the wall. Has to back off, though. Way too much damage there. And the positioning is just very awkward here. The Shocker right indoors, and they just collapse right onto them again.
Really nice turnaround. Nero uses EMP in that team fight too, but the Fusion, with 14 seconds left, are facing Shock with a supercharger coming out of spawn. So now Fusion have to forge a path forwards, have to play aggressive. They've got to lock these guys essentially in the spawn doors if they want a chance of completing.
Supercharger and Matrix used as well, so they can't play up close and personal. There it is, dropped around the corner. Nero goes down. A nice little arrow onto him. Potentially Nero was trying to maybe teleport into an orthodox position, but not too sure how it happened. Regardless of that, the Fusion are not going to be questioning it. Nice pulse bomb. Carpe doesn't get the pick he was looking for, but does take out the Immortality Field. It drags it out and away from them. Violet falls, but it's the 1-for-1. Carpe needs to pop off in these final moments. He tries to find the kills going their way with the Soundbar. On top of it, he has so much healing, so much health available to him. Overtime still burning, though. They need this pick at the end of the day, and Glister will fall. Dropping onto the payload, a last-ditch effort to keep this overtime going is not enough. And it will be the Fusion eventually just rolling it in. What a slow burner that attack was.
Yeah, they took their time. One of the players that came alive towards the end there, though, is Funny Astro. Getting an opportunity to show us why he's one of the best Lucios in the world. Builds up that beat in almost record time. Gets massive value out of it to help Carpe as the rest of his team push forwards. And then he picks up himself a 2K, 3K as they manage to close that one out. The Philadelphia Fusion, though, I think should count themselves lucky they even got 3 objectives there. The Shock, in terms of the game plan, it looks a lot more solid. This double shield with a double flex support backline, Fusion have not yet found the answer to. Sure, they full complete on the attack, but the more we run this, the more the Shock are going to be able to generate advantages, I think.
Yeah, not too ideal for them on the attacking side with how slow they were taking the entire thing. Fusion are going to be playing, again, this ball with the Sigma comp. Trying to rotate around as well, set up Carpe, I suppose, and maybe a bit of an off angle. The final moments of this here from Funny Astro, I mean, he really did pop off, actually. Making his last minute switch onto the Lucio.
Yep.
And getting so much work done.
Yeah, he's doing a huge amount of damage. Gets this boot kill as well. Nero comes back onto the payload. Funny Astro got another kill after that onto Nero. Yeah, great performance from the Lucio.
Yeah, magical stuff. And with the Shock now moving over to these rush competitions.
Oh, it's cursed. Oh, it's cursed. We get to see the Violet Lucio in playoffs.
It is the Violet Lucio.
Oh, my eyes, my eyes.
Oh, man, it is painful sometimes to watch this, but
maybe they've been doing some prep work on it.
Yeah, maybe they have pulled something out. No! Jumping right on top of them. Carpe, the wall to his back, had nowhere to run, and they are just diving all the way in. the determination on Violet's face. Just sits still, spams the angles. Maybe he can roleplay that he's playing Zen.
I mean, Violet heard us. He got the opening kill. It was with the help of all the rest of his team, though. The shock, really credit belongs to Nero there, and the excellent just communication from the whole of the team. It's a push up towards the top, and then a wall that isolates the Philadelphia Fusion, and all of that spam into a tiny corridor. And eventually, sure, it is Violet that ends up getting the kill, and he's very swiftly moving over to the break. That one speed boost was his whole job on Lucio.
Straight off of it. The Fusion also made some switches as well. They're going to be running, you can see EQO playing now on the Echo Alarm. Just trying to send in a couple of those Bionades, maybe get something done with it. The positioning, though, I mean, they've just given up this choke point. Now they're going to be pushing it all the way through. The Fusion have to try and find an answer, but that Matrix pushed them away. The wall as well, right up into the high ground. Where is the Fusion? Trying to find their way back into this one. They've dropped around here, but the payload again is just moving. There's so much free progress here. It's getting awkward.
Oh, in theory, they have the mobility to keep trying to stall out this payload forever. Hopper gets taken down before his ultimate can come online. They already picked off Carpe as he was zipping around the place. The idea from the Fusion is that they have so much mobility with Tracer, Echo, with Ball, that they should be able to ping-pong on and off the objective to stop the shock getting that free push. And instead, one Amp Matrix and they all scattered. And Philly have just given them nearly a free checkpoint B. They will be able to recontest them.
Yeah, the mines for Mano. Gonna push them away. But it flux into the back as well. That is onto a critical target, but not the kill they were looking for. Trying to find it onto Violet. Now we see the ults as well pumped out. Nero, it's a big blizzard. It locks up a lot of them. Despite the res that Fanyashro was able to get off there onto EQO, I don't think it's going to be enough to try and close this one out on checkpoint B, at least stop them there. So now the Shock are working with 5.5 minutes, and you can start to see as well just the benefits of, I don't know, playing a bit more proactively with this composition. Definitely, as you were saying earlier, Josh, I mean, just a better game plan in general.
Absolutely a better game plan coming out from the Shock here. But that's to be expected because it's their map pick as well. Well, what's the Xfinity map leaderboard looking like? This must be a record time that they're hunting towards. There's 5 minutes still on the clock.
They can't get that kill onto Troy, and yeah, there's no contest happening onto this payload. Now we're going to be trying to push them away. The Amatrix onto the high ground. EQO is gone. The res will not be denied, though. Power drive up onto the high ground there. Twilight eventually taken down, and that is a bit of hubris as well. Playing right up close and personal. EQO using a duplicate. There's going to be the Earth Shatter drop down. That's only Hotbadoh that ends up collapsing down to the floor. Definitely you're finding a lot of work done here. Now with the self-destruct dropped down onto the ground, no one will be falling. Shock still getting progress and still getting picks.
Good shot from Nero. Finishes off EQO as he tries to disengage. And this is all free push. Hopper with a crucial pick. That takes out some of the healing, and they force the trance. Probably a good opportunity here for the Shock to disengage, but Nero looks like he's trying to set up a blizzard. They've already got the Diva out of mech.
Yeah, off the back of that, it's going to be a free blizzard. Depends where he wants to absolutely lob it right into the backline. Alarm, he's just going to use it as a bit of a solo play. Alarm is locked up, nowhere to go. See you later. He's gone, but Nero, he's overextended for it. Take it out. Carpe comes back in. The damage boost in the Discord orb is way too much. Can the Shock even turn this one around? The Shadow booped up into the back. No one is going to be found with this one. They're all too agile. And Carpe, what a shot! He's trying to pull out the clutch potential that we've seen in the past from him. With one quick headshot there, he may have just stopped this one from getting really out of their hands.
What on earth is going on with both of these teams as they go towards the final areas? The Shock, it's a bold play going for the solo blizzard, but Carpe saves them. The Storm Arrow headshots that flew in to punish Nero as he tried to disrespect Alarm helped save things for Philadelphia. And now they've got a little bit of pushback, a little bit of a counterattack going. If they can buy time here for EQO to get up to a duplicate, and he can get a duplicate onto, let's say, Super or Choyobin, one of those tank ultimates could, again, help push things in favor of Philadelphia. They need to tick at least 2 minutes more off this clock.
Yeah, they need the time. They need the time, they need a pick right now to try and prevent it from getting out of hand. The Shock did move over a lot of their composition, which means they don't have ultimates, but EQO just not watching. Just not watching the angles. Nero almost taken down, 36 health, needs a bit of healing. Super taken out as well. No more mortality field for them, and Carpe definitely just dragging this one back from the depths of defeat. It was almost there for them. We were about to lose that team fight, it felt like, but he just finds the quick shots necessary.
Everything's winnable when Carpe's on your team. It's been a while since we've seen this guy heat up into true dominant form, but picking up the Hangzhou at the end of King's Row, he is absolutely there. He's been the only player that's been hitting these fantastic shots.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that is glorious. Takes out both members of the backline. There's nothing the shot can do.
Now look at the ults. Look at the ults and how it's flipped around. A Fusion with that hold, committing deep into this one. The mines drop down and going for an aggressive play. Shock just baited out now, going to be pushing forwards now once they've cleared them. 2 minutes though for them. They have bought a bit of time now to come online with this Amp Matrix. Duplicate for EQO is going to be looking to try and find something with it, has to use it. He got pressured then very heavily, but right away, look at that. The damage boost, the Discord Orb, everything placed onto Super so that he just got absolutely taken apart.
And EQO's doing a great job with this duplicate as well. Applying pressure to the tank line, Choyobin has to back off, and with him go all the healing resources too. Now he's out of mech, taken out early on. Violet and Twilight isolated on the side, and this is a rout. The San Francisco Shock are in full retreat here. Glister's even moved over to Soldier 76 in a desperate attempt to stop EQO getting all the value. This is a real problem scenario for the Shock. They have not been able to deal with Carpe's Hangzhou, and he's bought enough time for the rest of his team to come online.
Almost single-handedly pulling them back in. The Dragon Strike, that's Nero just leaping into it.
That was dry. No real setup for Carpe there. No great pressure from the rest of the team, but the timing was so perfect.
It does feel like a bit of a crumble, honestly. A bit of a crumble for the Shock.
Yeah. Your nan's good old-fashioned apple crumble. That's what the Shock are up to right now.
Yeah, there's no custard this time, though. No treat with it.
No, not even slightly.
It's dry.
Here's the pile drive in the set play. Doesn't quite catch anybody, and Mano is punished.
Good pick, but now only 29 seconds left. They're trying to finish with at least something on the board. Pushing forwards now. See, ultimate's used with the supercharger. Drop down, and there is respect being shown here by the Fusion. They have to back this off, but they can give up this space. The card is nowhere close to the end of it, and 11 seconds remaining. Alarm not really being pressured at all. Mano goes down once more. Again, back to back here, and this time Carpe has fallen. He goes down from the Helix rocket. It forces out a Transcendence as Fusion realize they've got to try and stop them here and now. Healing is good.
Oh, EQO gets taken down before he can use his duplicate, in fact. So he's not even going to be there to stall the payload out. Carpe in desperation moves to the Widowmaker, but he's got a shield in his face.
How, what you do against this Immortality Field, the shield. I mean, this wasn't present really in 2018 at all. Stopped in his tracks. 1 minute on the board for both of these teams to try and make something work. And honestly, blunders across the board from both of these teams on their attacking sides. The Shock just getting stalled up. Admittedly, it was Carpe who was just really pulling out the clutch performances on that defense.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can be too mad about how the San Francisco Shock approached that. The game plan looked good, and the setups were clean, their ult usage was nice, but they just got rolled by Carpe's Hangzhou. I think you have to give credit to Carpe for a monstrous performance on defense there. He popped off, he got so many kills, and he helped his team get mentally back in the game as well. Now with a minute on the clock for both sides, it's anyone's game. I think I'd give the advantage to the Shock in terms of their game plan and how they've looked, but individually, the Fusion could make magic happen, especially Carpe on the Hangzhou.
A minute for both of these teams. It's not a lot of time. The Fusion, I mean, they really got chewed up on this point A take. It was essentially down to them building up a multitude of ultimates for them to be able to take it.
They're not going to have that luxury this time around. There's only a minute left. I think the Genji is an all-in attempt. If you're running Genji on the attack here, it's to dash in instantly and try and finish the fight in the first 5-10 seconds. Carpe cycling through Junkrat there just for the voice line perhaps, but they ended up playing Genji Tracer with the Lucio, so speed boost and a hard engage type comp. They might just be able to wait for Nano to come online onto Mano, but I think they're going to want Carpe to set up a flank and go for some kind of hard dive onto Violet or Twilight early.
Fusion need to get in position with this comp, but the Shock are going to be spamming them the entire time. The rotation comes through now onto the point. There's the wall. Locks him up onto the side. This time, Glister's alive into the back. That was so well timed. Glister, the patience from him. Does not have the flashbang, though, to be able to deal with Carpe as well, who dove right into the back. The fight continues onto the point.
Trading 1-for-1 in that scenario is pretty good, though, because Shock have lost their major damage source. And here comes Mano diving forwards a little too far, perhaps, from the Winston.
Yeah, Immortality Field is good, though, and a huge bio nade. Carpe does not have recall now. Still for another 7 seconds. He's in the back line. Needs to be so careful. He's being marked the entire time. Glister moved back over to the Tracer, and now it's the overtime. The Nano built up, but that's going to be the boop. Pushed away in the moment, just trying to build up this Primal Rage.
The point?
It's almost going to be getting it. The point, though, it needs to be controlled up, and they're finding the pickoffs. The Shock walled away. Mano has to go right up into the window to get back into the action. But already the ultimate dropped down. The Supercharger is going to be pushing everyone back, and it's not even going to be a tick gained here for the Fusion.
The game plan actually looked pretty decent there. They isolated Glister, they traded 1-for-1, went back in with the Nano boost, but there was a crucial boop onto Mano. If your Winston cannot get value with that Nano, your entire team comp falls to pieces. Huge credit there to the Shock for being able to deny Mano. I don't know whether it was a whip shot or a boop coming out from Choyobin, for example, but either way you slice it, Philadelphia's attack did not get the results. Either a draw or a win here. Potential for the Shock to start creeping ahead on the back of their map pick.
Really, potentially dragging this series all the way to the distance. I mean, I can only imagine as well if we saw a draw on Volskaya as well on top of that. My word.
Which was possible. It wasn't as close as this map. Volskaya was definitely more in favor of Philadelphia. They set a ridiculous time back the first time around, but they were a little slow in the OT, so the possibility was there. This one, though, I don't know. The Shock, if we're thinking about how they did it in regulation time, annihilated Fusion. They teleported to the high ground, they speed boosted, put a May wall up, and crunched the players that were holding on the tunnel.
I mean, they had a really good read of this. Is this the whip shot that came through? Yeah, Nano boost,
yeah.
Whip shot. I mean, that is so class from Violet. It literally, it
kills the whole push.
It kills the push.
Yep, and that's why Brig is such a mechanically demanding hero at the moment in Overwatch. I mean, you can mock it if you like, scoff at the idea, but Brig is so important, and it's one of the reasons why they've got Violet playing it a lot. But this is different. Zombie comp for the Shock.
Yep, the Violet Lucio as well. And the good thing about this composition is you take the damage, you build up the coalescence pretty quickly. It's a big ultimate, but it's all in on it. One moment that we're looking for. They're just trying to get into position here. Oh my word, Glister. Okay, gets his ankles broken. Does force the recall just from the threat of the hack. Right, rolling through. Twilight's taken out. What a pick from Carpe.
That's amazing. He's been on fire when it comes to the Hangzhou on defense so far, but Mano has traded his life just to try and disrupt the rest of the Shock. Without healing, you would think the Shock should crumble, but they've all disengaged. Where have they scattered to?
This is bizarre. 13 seconds left. Glister trying to set himself up. That's going to be the hack. Funny Astro, he's just tracked out. Twilight just coordinated it with him.
Coming off the respawn.
Coming off the respawn. They beamed him down. The Shock, though, they have the player advantage. Can the Fusion clutch this one up again? It's going to be on EQO to try and find the picks and Alarm. They've got the one onto Twilight, but still finding the players now. Overtime burning. A bit of progress to be gained. Nero still putting in the good work, but can EQO do it once more? Pulse Bomb is not going to be connecting. In fact, the Ray Form was forced out from it as well. It's all over the place, but right now the Shock are the ones in control of the objective. It's desperation, but look at that boop! Push right into the mines. Violet's taken out, still going on, still trying to drag it out, but it will not be done. Shock are going to be taking away King's Row, and how close was that?
A bit of relief on the faces of San Francisco. Choyobin rifles his fingers through his hair. They know how close that was, and Super explains to everybody how much he carried that team fight at the end, I'm sure. It got really scary there for San Francisco on their map pick, especially with Carpe getting the first kill onto Twilight. But I've got to say, just a huge play there from the Sombra coordinating with Twilight coming back off the respawn.
That is how do you even think of that? How do you even think of that in the moment? I mean, it's those are the glimpses of the old Shock where they will pull out those little plays that most teams are going to be falling back into the default protocols, the strategy that they might have laid out. But
I'm sure
it was so close.
I'm sure Finiastro did not think that he was in serious danger whilst backing off into that position. And yet he gets collapsed upon by a Sombra and a Moira, of all things. And that is the Shock taking the advantage in the series. They've won both of their map picks, but now it's time for the Fusion to respond with one of their own. It was incredibly impressive when they took us to Volskaya. What else has this Philadelphia squad got up their sleeve?
Yeah, despite the heroics of Carpe taking us back to the hashtag winnable days, it wasn't to be with this map, but also they can just go again. We're going to be heading to a 4th map in this series, ladies and gentlemen, and it's elimination time as well. The Shock edging so closer now to that victory and win, and potentially knocking them down out of the 2021 tournament.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Violet, he tweeted a picture of himself with like those Terminator eyes that said, I have to win, 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 I have to win.
Violet can do it all, and so far he's showing up on those quote-unquote main support roles.
You can just put him wherever you want.
And the back. Violet is cracked. He's out of his mind.
The best in the world.
I mean, this guy is an absolute Zenyatta warlord.
Jack of all trades, master of all trades. It's Violet.
There's nobody who's on Violet's level.
None of them are remotely as psycho as Violet is.
Violet does what Violet does.
Violet's on the Echo. All right, why not?
Ooh. Violet the Daredevil, the evil Knievel of Overwatch. He's a god!
Yeah.
Violet is actually a god!
Crazy.
Welcome back from the break, everybody. Yep, heading into this series deeper and deeper. It's looking rocky and shaky, honestly, for the Philadelphia Fusion. They are one map away from being eliminated out of the 2021 Overwatch League playoffs. The Shock, I mean, they're going to be looking to try and close it out here, but you've got to remember, it's still the Philadelphia Fusion's map pick.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about, though, because Philly have their pick of the litter, honestly. And they look a lot more comfortable when it comes to ball zen kind of compositions. The Shock can play it. They've been open to trying it. But I think that's where Philadelphia can gain the edge in this series. They certainly did when we went to Volskaya, and now heading towards Route 66. I think this is a great pick. It plays a little similar. It's good for ball comps. It's good for Zen. It's excellent for escorting your Zen into good positions with the Brigitte. And it's a very slow positional map for the most part. You do occasionally see teams go crazy with the rush defense at the spawn of checkpoint A, which is certainly something that the Shock could opt into. But the kind of bread and butter way that this map plays out does favor Philadelphia Fusion. So all makes sense here. This match has been a lot more standard when it comes to the kind of compositions that Philadelphia has been playing and the map picks for them and the kind of style that we've been seeing them go towards. It feels like now that their opponent is a bit more rigid in terms of compositions compared to the incredibly flexible LA Gladiators, they've got a bit of a read on what they want to play to try and counter it as well. Seems like they've come in with a very specific game plan today.
Yeah, it's a better look, honestly. When they started, switching up and playing mystery heroes and the previous series where they ended up getting knocked down to the lower bracket, it was just all over the place. It was a little bit too much when it came to individual players moving off and not really knowing how to get the correct read. But
something that they definitely struggled with was the double flex support backline from the Gladiators. And I don't think any team has come up with a great answer for that. And Violet Twilight are very capable of running it themselves. It's not meta on this map to run BAP Zen backlines. Here we go,
okay,
though.
Well,
I did say that they could try and run a rush defense, but it does mean Violet's going to be on Lucio again.
It doesn't.
And I don't think he, on an individual level, looks that comfortable whenever he plays Lucio. He makes questionable decisions with his positioning. He plays on the floor a lot compared to a lot of Lucios. Doesn't get the most value out of the movement. It's one of those characters in the game that you need hundreds and hundreds of hours to play at a top level. It's not something you could just jump on.
You're seeing this as a Fusion fan, and mate, you're cheering. You're cracking open a Yingling, you're just you're going crazy, I think, because it typically has not worked out very well.
They had their moments on King's Row. They got value out of it. Their two OT pushes, or just generally their 2 point A attacks. Violet was playing Lucio, and they won them both. So there is potential for it to work here. And remember that for the Shock, they're only trying to tick time off the clock as well. This forward hold is not supposed to win the map. It's supposed to take as much time as possible.
Copy, though. Okay, just taken out straight away, but that's going to be the trade. Okay. They are going to be losing out this fight as well over the course of it, especially because they couldn't deny out the res. While they're looking at a little bit lost there against the walls. So they are just going to eventually end up going down, just trying to buy as much time as possible. My question mark, though, is, how long are the Shock going to be stacking on this composition? If it ends up going completely wrong, they get steamrolled, they end up switching, you're at an ult disadvantage. You're swapping around all your roles.
And that is the biggest danger here, right? They're going to want to stay on it for the next team fight. At some point, Violet could make the swap over to Brig. So they could still play the same kind of composition, but with the Brigitte. And certainly for checkpoint C, the defense is very viable to run rush. As for now, the question remains, how long are they going to stay committed? Mano got frozen in one of these previous team fights. EQO getting close to a duplicate as well, and they're going to have to pay respect to this Amp Matrix.
Yeah. The window just dropped down, and eventually it's going to be fading away here. Defusion just waiting it out. That's EQO using the duplicate, but it is Glister who goes down in the end as well. These are the Discord Orbs, the damage boost onto Carpe. He's able to just create these picks. Self-destruct didn't actually quite land where I think he was expecting, but he gets the kill regardless onto Twilight. And it does feel like just an inevitable slow roll that the Fusion are just taking all this space, winning every team fight after again, because again, Rush is not really too ideal when you're running it here.
No, it's not a great composition. Violet also still hasn't got up to his first ultimate after 2 minutes, so he's not finding the most value himself. They're constantly putting Discord Orb onto him too. That's a good eat though. Good work from Choyobin.
Yeah, now they need to get a little bit more out of this one, though. Still, Super just separated, taken out. That's the beam just rinsing him, and there's going to be no attempt to contest this.
That's another team fight where Violet won't have an opportunity to use his ultimate, and so he's incentivized to stay on the hero.
Onto it now.
You don't really want to swap away from Lucio when you are so close to the beat or when you have it. So the rest of his team are changing around him. The Shock have morphed their composition around the Violet Lucio into what has now become the zombie comp. So they can play with a lot more pace here, a lot of aggression onto Alarm. Funny Astro makes the move onto Break to try and shut them down a little.
Yep. Gotta be careful, though. The Fusion's comp as well, they're so good at picking apart just that one target, especially when Carpe's at these angles, hunting for it. That's a sound barrier. It's going to be giving them a bit more health to work with, and a wonderful little push there. Carpe just right into Nero. The Hellfire shotguns ripping away at them, one after the other. Super goes down again, but he's created enough space as well that the Shocker finally able to just win out this team fight.
Yeah, Nero is definitely the tip of the spear for the Shock when they play this comp. He is the one that gets fed all of the kills by the end of it. It looked good for them when they played yesterday on Ilios against the Shanghai Dragons. But the problem is, the more scrappy this team fight gets, the more they have to chase kills, the more they have to leave the objective, and Fusion get free push eventually with their hyper-mobile comp. Mano and Carpe can just stay on the payload and continue to tick this one through.
Yeah, and EQO just pumping in this damage. Yeah, and he's so close as well now to this duplicate. The mine's dropped around, right around the corner there. I mean, Super is so split, and he just gets burnt instantly with the Discord Orb and the beam. Doesn't stand a chance against them. For the Shock, it feels like they are just chucking bodies at the objective with no real hope of trying to win it out.
Yeah, and I don't know what's next. They're going to go for another speed boost engage here, probably use the Coalescence. Glister is weak though, and Mano's taking him down right before the EMP came online.
They have to use the Wraithform to contest, they have to drop down. It does force out the duplicate, the Coalescence though. It's a bit all over the place, searching for that one target bashed out of it. Twilight, he was desperate for the pick, and it just meant that he overextended right into the shield bash. That's a quick and easy cap, and for the Shock, I mean, whatever was going on with the spawn camp, when you're trying to play the rush composition right up to the spawn doors, you can't be held hostage by this Lucio pick.
And it does feel like it, doesn't it? This is not Violet's first ultimate, though. He did already use the sound barrier, so now he's on to his second one. They still have that one available. I'd like to see them just send it right now. Send it, use all of your ultimates, try and stop this momentum from the Fusion, and choose a different composition. I mean, stick to it if you want, if you think that's really the best option. But I'd like to see them go back to the rush at this point. Just send the ults.
Wow, I mean, that focus fire instantly on Glister as soon as he uses the EMP. The Pulse Bomb is a good stick. Violet, though, just about got the beat off in time, so he's surviving in this fight, but it matters not. The Shock are just taking way too much damage, and the free push here from the Fusion. They're rolling through them. They've got every tool at their disposal. I mean, they're just picking them apart.
They certainly are. They couldn't win that team fight even off the back of the EMP. A gorgeous punish onto Glister, though. Twilight moves over. Okay, now we finally see Violet swap away to the break. Is it too little, too late? It certainly feels like it. Fusion command the high ground, and when Alarm is up here, he's just going to be a freak.
Super jumps in as well to try and push them away. Has popped off as well on the Primal Rage. Right into the back line. But he's taken so much damage. This good orb was straight on him. I mean, he's probably going to fall. He's so deep behind enemy line here. They do take him out. And now they push forwards. They know that Super's not going to be disrupting the flow of this fight. They can start to push forwards now. EQO at a bit of an off angle. Pumping in these tri-shots one after the other. And that's beautiful as well. Just tracking them off there with the sticky bombs. Finds a nice little pick onto Twilight, who was also going to be a major win con for them. Pulse Bomb. connect. Super also going to be going down as Carpe does follow up on all of that damage.
The headshot.
And it just looks almost inevitable. I'm going to be dying there to the self-destruct, but pushed away for but a moment, and enough time bought for them that it's going to be that cap. All 3 checkpoints, 1 minute 38, and it's disheartening to watch, honestly.
And the Shock got boomed.
Yep.
Their plan was annihilated by the Fusion. The compositions that they like to play don't work very well on route. That's why I was saying it was such a good map selection by the Philadelphia Fusion. It makes such a difference as we head into these playoff games. It's the same for like games when we've been seeing them in the stage finals at all times as well. Map selection just makes it so much more valid to punish the lack of flexibility of your opponent, or play into your own strengths as well, like the Shock selecting King's Row. And here it seems like San Francisco are way out of their comfort zone. The rush defense is a good idea, but outside of that, and point C, the middle section of route is not favored for it in the slightest. They were giving way too much room for Carpe to go crazy, and EQO. Let's take a look at the replay towards the end here as well.
Yeah. So because the translocator was destroyed before, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, and that's such a crucial way of being able to deal with the Sombra. We've seen teams do it time and again in this season. Find the Sombra translocator, take it out, and that means that the Sombra is a significantly more vulnerable target. And as soon as Glista popped the MP there, he's taken down in an instant.
Yeah, the Shock need to be pulling someone else out here.
3, 2, 1.
They're going to opt for long-range poke damage, but without Violet on Zed.
Okay.
So they've got the Brig here to add more stability to the backline, because they know Carpe is going to be playing Tracer. They're still opting for a kind of poke-style comp. I don't think Violet's going to be able to generate too much value on Brig offensively. He's more there just to stop Carpe and Mano getting value.
Trying to go for this hack here. EQO did force out the recall just from it alone.
Nero could shoot him.
Yeah, just disrupt it, but no. Still, a bit of free push now for the Shock as well, pushing around this corner. With this composition, the double shield as well, eating up a lot of it. They just need to find a pick. That's a good hack onto Troy, pushes them back, but EQO just trying to farm up this EMP, ends up paying for it with his own life. Gives them now a bit more room to breathe. The Shock as well, just still going to keep pushing this one.
That's the big value of Shock's comp. They're always going to be on the objective. So this payload is going to keep moving until the Philadelphia Fusion can square up to them and fight them. Mano and Hotberg can kind of rotate on and off to slow things down, but at some point here, Fusion need to commit. That is not a great sign.
Yeah, and the Fusion just left to their own devices here. I mean, EQO is just trying to build up this EMP, trying to get maybe just a neutral hack off onto one target. But a Shock, I mean, they're steamrolling straight through. Checkpoint A. A much better answer, I suppose, as well on the attack side of things compared to their defense. They're not getting chewed up too often. And for the Fusion, you've got to look at them and say, okay, well, they need to start taking the initiative a bit more. Maybe finding those openings that they can just dive in, at least stop the push from happening in the first place.
Yeah, it's really hard, actually, with Fusion's comp. You need to be whittling them down, force out abilities, destroy the shields as well with poke damage from Alarm. But you're really waiting on a hack or a support ultimate to be up, or an EMP. Once you have those kind of tools or those kind of openings, then you can try and initiate. But if you just try and hard dive into the Shock's comp, you are going to get shut down by a bash, hold, rock combo, and then Glister's going to do so much damage to you. So you got to play slowly, you got to play patiently.
Fusion are looking for an opening here. Carpe, what a pulse bomb. It is a stick. A connection, Mano. Yeah, onto Mano, but not enough for the kill. Carpe still holding on to his own. Needs to be healed, though. Blinking up to the high ground. Now the EMP engaged. They're all grouped up into the corner. This is what the Fusion were waiting for. The bash pushes Carpe away. They've just pulled out a ton of their abilities. A lovely stick from Carpe, and now the rest of the team can just absolutely follow up on the rest of the damage that's being dealt.
Twilight's evading them, but he's just staggering himself here.
Yeah.
All right, sure. There's almost 4 minutes on the time bank right now, though, so the Shock have only been stopped for the first time. But this does allow a little bit of a moment for Philadelphia to reset their positioning. Make sure that they dominate the high ground here. They know that Shock are going to be pushing from below. Nero swapped over to Torb as well, which is another way to dissuade these flankers, the Tracer, the Sombra, for going for hard initiations. So much of this is going to rely on EQO getting manual hacks, and they've got to respect this supercharger.
Well, still going to be going for the engage right in. Power driver into Well, that's self-destruct. That is tasty. Nice little set play from them. Choi is actually committing ultimates into this one with no return on that.
Yeah, that's a lovely play. I mean, I really did think that they were just going for the hard disengage there, and I think Shock got baited into it as well. Their backline was holding pretty safely, and then as they saw the Philadelphia Fusion retreating, Twilight and Violet start moving forwards. And at that point, Mano flies back in, pile drive, self-destruct over the top, and like you said, Brent, gorgeous little set play. This buys them a little more time. EQO didn't generate too much ultimate charge over the course of that, but you have Carpe with a pulse that could change things around. They still have Transcendence, so they could use that to hard fight. And it's all buying time for another EMP that's going to reset the San Francisco Shock, in theory, anyway.
Turret's going to be annoying, but dealt with almost instantly. There's the pulse bomb. Choi way too aware. Beats this one up, and they do force out the Transcendence. So the Shock now coming into this with a slight advantage with that. Twilight will be looking to get something done with this Amp Matrix. Just onto the high ground, firing shot after shot.
They've got a massive opportunity here. Twilight again with the Amp Matrix pushes back Philadelphia. And now they have high ground control, the Shock. They killed Mano in the previous fight. EQO still hasn't generated very much of his ult, and he goes down as he tries to get the last 10%.
Oh, wow, and the fadeaway fire strike from Super as well just clips onto Alarm. Top of the staircase. Really not a lot of pressure onto the Shock as well. I mean, you can see the attempt from Mano as well, rolling through them to try and push them off of the high ground, but for now, they've started to get progress gained. Oh, and they've just spotted EQ and pushed them back again in a fire strike onto Funny Astro.
That's wild. Managing to pick the Brig there when the Brig had Rally. They wanted to Rally and EMP this fight to stop all of the momentum of the Shock. It's done. Checkpoint B completely secured for San Francisco there. Carpe taken down as well. Philadelphia have a wealth of ultimates, but they've just never been in a position to use them.
I really don't understand where the spam damage came in onto Funny Astro, that he went down to just the fire strike, but the Shock aren't going to be questioning it. They're going to be saying, okay, time to push in now. 2.5 minutes. They do have the EMP, the mines, everything really, as well with the double support ults.
We could be seeing comparable time backs if the Philadelphia Fusion cannot halt this momentum. EQO with an EMP.
The Shock are very aware.
Yeah.
Oh, they're super aware. There's going to be... Oh, the Earth Shadow dropped. That's only mana though. Okay, well, self-destruct doesn't get too much again. Trying to boot them away. We see the rally now being used here. Just trying to pull this one out of it. EQO now doesn't really want to use this EMP straight into this one because it's not going to be able to get the kills they're looking for, but maybe Carpe can. A Pulse Bomb kill onto Twilight. Takes him out. It's not going to have this Amp Matrix now for the next fight, and the Shock are a bit more susceptible now. If the Fusion can possibly get an EMP off, right up onto the high ground, only onto the DPS duo. Glister and Nero are going to be hacked up, but can there be any sort of follow-up? It doesn't look likely.
Oh, this Sombra has not got enough value for the Fusion on this defense. That was EQO's opportunity to turn things around into their favor, and instead, it's all gone wrong. The Shock now have ultimate advantages if they can force the trance out of Alarm. Alarm's in such a rough position.
And they do force out the Transcendence just from it as well. It's such a weird Amp Matrix just in that one angle, but he gets the job done when Alarm was pushed out, and now they can push steadily forwards. This needs to be healed up here. Not going to get too much done with the Deadeye, but now pushing forwards. High ground gain, starting to push this as well. A minute left for the Shock to try and push this one. The card is moving forwards.
It's been slowed down. They're not going to get the same kind of time back. And Alarm manages to take down that turret, so not a threat for Carpe to deal with. He goes in, tries to assassinate Glister, and Nero just a zoning ultimate to try and keep that path to victory clear.
Violet Force. It's a brilliant pick now for the Fusion as well. They're going to be looking to try and get this hold off, and Carpe, what a stick, super. The damage wasn't even necessary. He was already going down, it seemed. 33 seconds left. The Shock composition does not suit speed. They're not going to be running the Lucio alongside this one. If they get staggered out here, this just could be the map.
They still have 20 seconds. 10 to regroup. Get Glister back off spawn. He's going to go to Sombra to try and keep this activated. The Fusion are pushing things forward. Twilight didn't even get a chance to use his ult. The rally wasn't enough to keep him alive.
And as the EMP dropped down, it does connect onto a variety of targets. Easy pickings for the Fusion. Only 7 seconds remaining. Can anybody even touch? It doesn't seem likely now with the Transcendence as well, just leaning it in. And the Fusion were in control, it felt like, for the majority of this map here on Route 66. They knew exactly what they were doing when they took the Shock here. And we're going to be going to a map 5. It couldn't have ended in any other way, really, could it? Map 5 between these two teams in the elimination match between both of them. The entire 2021 season on the line.
What a performance from Philadelphia, taking things to their map. And this has set up just a phenomenal map 5. The Shock have their choice of control, but if you remember, the narratives around the Shock this year have been that they are no longer the gods of control. Yeah. That was what powered them to their wins in 2019, and especially in 2020. With Striker on the roster, they seemed undefeatable when it came to that map type. They do have their choice of map, but this is going to be a nail-biter.
Yeah, I mean, how close that first control map was as well. It could go to any team whatsoever. I mean, this is really heating up between both of these squads, and neither wants to go out early. We'll see you in just a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen, as we're going to be concluding this series and sending one of these teams home.
Okay, bomb point. One man. Nice. We got this. Okay, what about map?
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
5 between these two teams, and they're all battling, remember, in this elimination match for that trophy right there, the 2021 Overwatch League Championship. It's up for grabs, as you can see, and we might be one map away from the San Francisco Shock, our 2-time champions, being denied.
And in 0-2 fashion as well in 2021. That would just be mind-blowing. And there's 4 banners here for a good reason, because as we move on into next season, we're going to be playing Overwatch 2. So this really is for a place in history. Every year, the skill level of the Overwatch League has increased. Every year, it's got better and better. The San Francisco Shock, they may have won twice before, but the competition is just so much higher this year. As they head into map 5, staring elimination in the face. FD God comes back in for Twilight. That makes sense, it's a control map. They're probably going to be wanting to play either Rush Comp, Zombie Comp, something of the like. Wanting to lean into that Lucio.
And our opposition for the Fusion, oh my word. I mean, they've had some ups and downs this season. But to knock out the 2-time champions here and move forward into the tournament, I mean, that would just be a blessing for them. They would be so pleased with that result.
Yeah, either way, the fan bases for both of these teams have incredibly high expectations for the franchises. Philadelphia have never won anything before. Never mind the championship. We're talking stage finals, anything of the like. But this would feel like a victory, being able to eliminate the defending champion. And for the Shock, all of their fans wanted them at the beginning of this season to go for the three-peat. And the talent that's on this roster, the amount of players that they added, you can't be telling me that in the preseason, people were expecting us to be in this position, talking about the San Francisco Shock maybe getting eliminated without even winning a match in the postseason. Coming into this year, they were on a 12-match win streak in the postseason, having hoisted that trophy in 2019 and 2020. They added star players to their roster this year: Nero, Glista, FD God, 3 of whom are going to be playing for them for the chance to continue.
Oh, what a chance that is. Ilios is the map that we're going to be playing on here. Loser's pick, so it was the San Francisco Shock's map selection. They've played this map earlier, actually the other day. They went up against the Shanghai Dragons, and they were playing a lot of these zombie comps, the Lucio Moira.
They look good.
They did, and I tell you what, against the Dragons, it was a bit of a slip-up. It was one big mistake in the final round that actually cost them from potentially taking that map away from the Dragons. They're definitely comfortable here. We'll see what a Fusion can pull out against them.
Very different styles, as we've come to expect from both of these two teams. Philadelphia Fusion running that Ball Zen Tracer comp is what they've been trying to force for the majority of this match. And the Shock are going to be the initiators.
You can see the amount of damage that the Fusion are able to output with this composition as well. Right at the off angles, that's a nice hack. EQO with the positioning, what a dive. Just jumping straight onto it. FD God as well, leading it. The damage that he's able to do as well. So comfortable on this roll on the Lucio. We're going to be seeing them just holding on to this point, a hack onto Hopper, and trying to get that D-Mech as well. FD God definitely searching for it with the beatdown, but not able to get it. It's an early capture now for the Shock. They're in control at this point. They're going to start to accrue up that percentage.
The Shock's composition is a lot better at dominating the objective, but they do have to leave it to secure kills. And at that point, Mano and Carpe can start playing that objective and putting pressure there to split the attention of the Shock.
Okay, well, Carpe almost getting that clip there onto FD God. The Discord orb placement was very good. Nice hack though, Carpe so low. He's going to get beamed down. The damage is too much to deal with. What a setup play there from Glista. His Sombra must be looking quite improved as he's headed into this postseason.
Yeah, these hacks have just been fantastic. And not just the hack, but the follow-up has been excellent as well. Violet was beaming him down with the Coalescence, but the player that I'm also looking at is another one from the backline, FD God. FD God followed up on both hack attempts from Glista, taking down EQO, then taking down Carpe. Everyone on the Shock is getting involved, and that's how this composition has to work. You can't play split, you can't play spread. Everyone must be a hive mind, focusing down one target at a time. For the moment, the Shock look to be in rare form.
A lot of ults available though, but that EMP is going to be used to try and stop them short. And that's going to be the boop off the map. Mano sent flying. Oh no, it could be disaster now for Fusion. They got to try and at least convert this into something. Carpe has to use that recall, did not want to get hacked up. The ults are being expended. A big sound barrier just about saves Nero. The timing on that was perfect. And now the kills are flooding in. It buys them enough time that the ultimates get popped off here. Super just trying to evade a lot of the damage that was coming in his direction, just trying to survive as well, and the peel is there for them. Now 90%, the shock on the verge of taking this initial round.
FD has been having an incredible first round. He's come back in with all of the fire of a young rookie player, or not even a rookie, but a young, less experienced player determined to make his name. But now the Fusion collapse, getting value out of their rally. Funny Astro leading the charge as they power their way in. The Shock can afford to give this one over though. If they push back in and get an EMP online, for example, or build up a coalescence, which they'll have access to over the course of the next couple of team fights, they should still be pretty good. It's clearly in one fight territory right now. They're at 99%.
Yeah, they certainly are. The mines from Mano scattered up in that last team fight as well, pushing them all outside of the objective, outside of that building. But now they've dove right back in again. Fade's going to be used by Violet just to try and regroup with the rest of his team. An opportunity for the Fusion here. They force out the Transcendence Alarm, uses it, but they need a pickoff. Can they get it? They do indeed. FD God falls. And just trying to build up a pulse bomb again. Mano boots off the map. A hack onto Carpe. Susceptible right into the back line. Nero just ends up committing the ultimate. It removes Alarm from the fight. The trade kills are there though. EQO still alive. Anyone's game right now with Hot Demek though. It's looking less likely. It's flipped back over. The overtime starting to burn for the San Francisco Shock. This initial round. What a play it would be for them to try and take this one away, but with Glister falling, that's not going to mean an EMP now for this next fight. Coalescence going to be used though, committed into it. Funny Astro taken out as well. The Fusion, they're running out of players. EQ won't do anything now. Still the duplicate. Drops down that self-destruct, just pushing him right off the point, but no one's really going to be falling from it. They need something more, they need something additional. With the mines scattered across, it could be it. They're taking a lot of damage, but can anybody touch it? It won't be the case. Shock taking round number 1 in this 5th and final map.
In a dominant fashion as well. The first team fight goes in their direction, the second, the third, they get up to 99% before the Philadelphia Fusion are even able to turn things around. So it's that early part of the round that needs to go differently if Philly want to get their way back into this series. It's only a slight lead. It's one round over the course of 5 maps, but it could make all the difference. Look at these plays from FD.
Oh, wow.
I assumed that Mano had been hacked at this point because there was an EMP that came out from Glister.
Yeah.
I don't believe he even was. I think it was just the timing was perfect. Immediately after he'd grappled, he had none of his cooldowns available. FD played an incredible first round there to help his team find success. So much of the coordination when you play this comp is going to be centralized around those Lucio speed boosts in particular. And Philly coming out with something we haven't seen from them so far.
That's a great start though. Carpe getting that opening pick onto Nero. Nero really the spearhead in this composition as well in terms of how much damage and eliminations they can get. That one pick means now that the Shock are kind of forced to group up and try and bide their time, but they're just being pounced on by the Fusion. Rotating around though, the Shock may have just bought enough time as well as they've broken their ankles. A hack onto Hopper, the Immortality Field has to be used. He's so low. Hacked up, rotating back. Nobody can get the kill onto Super as he's going to survive, and Glister gets the kill onto Carpe. Super will fall in the end, but the point somehow goes the way of the Shock, and they seem to be winning the team fight out.
This is crazy, considering that all of the damage was removed from Nero. They just led them on a wild goose chase, flying round and round in a circle, and Violet with the Coalescence is going to be able to secure this team fight. Alarm's popped off his ult on the other side of things, but gets pressured down by the beam, and then the Diva coming in. The Shock have not only won this, not only grabbed the objective, but Glister is now up to 90% of his EMP.
Yeah.
I talked about disastrous beginnings to the round, and despite Carpe's first kill, this is a disaster for the Fusion.
They've invested a lot of ultimates to try and save this one, but it's the Shock with a huge ult bank that's about to come online for them. This EMP as well to try and win out this next team fight. Mano has to use the supercharger early on here. There's going to be the EMP committed just to try and get rid of it. That is good focus fire. In fact, supercharger is hacked up. They're not going to be getting too much done with it in that moment, but it is a great punish to what they knew was coming their way. The Fusion adapting, bouncing back. Not going to let the Shock get away with murder here.
Should they they have applied a little more patience? I would argue so. You can allow the Supercharger to come in. You can even allow the Fusion to take the objective. If you can push back in with an EMP once the Supercharger's gone, you're in a great position to collapse. But the follow-up was simply not there off the back of the EMP. And now, off the back of a pretty large mistake from the Shock, Philadelphia have better positioning in an area where Carpe can continue to do poke damage as the San Francisco Shock approach. And we're really looking at Violent and FD God to use their ults to overwhelm the Fusion.
Jumping right in. That's a sound barrier going to be used. What a Death Blossom. Nero with 3. Hopper sends up the bomb, but it only connects onto FD God. That is really just a nail in the coffin when it comes to that team fight. And the Shock, wow, my goodness. A quick team fight win, a quick flip back over. The control of the point goes to them, and now, I mean, it's this round right here. Could we be seeing the Fusion eliminated early? An early exit from this tournament from them. It's not what they were hoping for.
Certainly looks like heartbreak once more on the menu for Philadelphia.
Coalescence. Yeah, and they're going to be going aggressive with it right in, but this time Glister is punished. But still, the damage is just too immense. In the close quarters with the Coalescence, there's so much for Nero to follow up on as well. Combine right into it, 92% as well. Surely it doesn't end with this, an absolute whimper.
Funny Astro goes over to Lucio. I mean, they are just trying to trigger OT in any way they can. Did they even get it?
They don't touch! A heartbreaking end for the Philadelphia Fusion. It ends in that fashion. It's the San Francisco Shock who end up winning it. And you can see the emotion on the players' faces. It is going to be Fusion with the exit out of the 2021 Overwatch League playoffs. The Shock, oh my goodness, it was close, but they do edge ever so closer into this tournament now. They've got their sights on the finals. A hell of a road ahead of them.
And it's sinking in now for Philadelphia that this was not the season that was promised. At the beginning of the year, in that offseason, they would have hoped for so much more, and yet they've been battling through adversity this entire way. Their players getting stuck in foreign countries, not being able to meet up in Korea, but once they finally got it all together, it felt doable for them. And this match, it certainly was winnable. But at the end of the day, the Shock magic is just a little too strong. It's just peeking its head over the precipice the tiniest amount, helping them edge through in the crucial moments. And I want to give so much credit to FD God, man. In terms of a player that comes in off the bench into your final round, the final map, to secure you the clutch in the match and stop you being eliminated. That's a lot of pressure to put on a player that doesn't have the most experience in the world, a player that has had scrutiny on him the entire season, and yet he came out and performed in rare form today.
Yeah, he's essentially been underneath a magnifying glass with a lot of the narratives and the fan reactions, a lot of the losses as well early on in the season. They were pinning the blame on him as an individual, as a player as well. But this time around, it's going to be the Shock here. Moving forwards in that lower bracket was definitely incredibly difficult for them. I mean, pushed to the brink by the Fusion. And for the Fusion as well, if we're going to be talking about them for just a moment as well, I mean, it's not the end to the season that they were hoping for. I mean, clearly hoping to go quite far, but stopped just short by the Shock. The one consistent factor for the Shock throughout this entire series, though, as much as also we were joking about it, well, it was Violet, and he's going to be getting our player of the match presented by Xfinity. Definitely switching to a variety of roles, playing some stuff that he wasn't too comfortable with, but again, just doing the job that was necessary at the time. But really, just the Zenyatta play overall, on top of that, as Brigitte was just kind of the extra factor in a lot of these team fights, a lot of these rounds, a lot of these maps that pushed the Shock over the edge and gave them the win here today.
Also looking way more comfortable when it comes to the Moira. That used to be another pick that he wasn't as comfortable with. Here we have the highlight of him playing Lucio, just doing his job. They've got a strategy. He needs to get up to the high ground. He needs to use his speed boost. He does it perfectly fine for the rest of the team. But them being able to play compositions where they can flex him over to get value out of the Zen or the BAP at very occasional times, that's where I love to see him the most. But an enormous part of why the Shock look a lot better right now is that they can execute these comps pretty well when they're running Lucio Moira. Again, it's something that Violet used to be a little squishy on. His positioning would be a little dodgy, but today it looked sublime, and they finish it out by running that zombie comp and executing to immaculate fashion. Yeah.
A wonderful showcase, I think, from Violet as well. The improvements that he's made over the course of the season, very evident from this one match here. But what a hard road it is as well. I mean, an early exit, earlier than anticipated, I suppose, for the Philadelphia Fusion. They're going to be out of it now. That's the 2021 season going to be done for them. Was definitely hard, absolutely, but the shock moving forwards, as we've been saying. Interview with Nero that's going to be coming up as well after this break. And don't forget, we have even more Overwatch League playoff games coming up after this. We have two more.
Two more today.
Two more games coming up after this.
Yeah. And even better teams as well. These are the teams that went through the winner's side of the bracket.
You could potentially be looking at an early preview of the grand finals later today.
Absolutely.
I mean, with some of these matchups, we might be looking at it right here, right now. You know you're not going to want to miss that. We're going to go to a short break, and of course, we're going to be right back into it with even more Overwatch League action. So we'll see you in just a few.
Oh, no. Push me. I'm pushing. I'm going spawn. Back to there. Kill the ball. Focus point. D.Va can't touch. D.Va there. Nice. Good job.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break, everybody. Danny Lim here, and we're joined now by Nero from San Francisco. Shock, Nero, congratulations on the win. How are you feeling right now? How are you enjoying Hawaii?
I'm enjoying Hawaii, but it'd be better if we could get out, you know. But we're really busy just practicing, and for the match, I don't personally feel good about it. I think I personally played really bad. My team just carried me, but I'm happy overall that we won in the end.
I would like to say that's false because I think you did a fantastic job. At the end, I think your Reaper play came in clutch. So I think you should give yourself more credit, Neo. All right, with that being said, I mean, let's talk a little bit about this match. You know, it was a very back and forth and very close match to the end. How were you able to get the win at the end?
We just knew that we were really good on Ilios and that comp specifically, and we kind of figured that they would play that comp too, and we're really comfortable playing versus that. So I don't know, we just kind of had the balls to pick that map, I guess, and just knew we were going to win.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I saw, as soon as we went into Ilios, I saw you guys, we saw the San Francisco Shock just go dive right in. Was that something that you guys sort of talked about before going to Ilios? Because I saw you guys were a lot more aggressive.
No, it wasn't like a set thing. We just Glister kind of just called us to dive, but yeah, we don't really have set plays like that. We just kind of play on the fly.
Okay, and then it worked out. And
Yeah.
That's how you got the win. Awesome. All right. Also, following that up, I feel like in the beginning of the season, a lot of people doubted if you could live up to the San Francisco Shock's name, but I believe that you definitely are one of the standout players in the San Francisco Shock roster, and you know, not only in the regular season but also in the playoffs currently as well. Have you had trouble dealing with this pressure at all, or did that sort of strive you to, you know, just be better?
Before, I had a lot of pressure and I was like getting in my head a lot, but now I don't really care. I'm just playing my game. Like, my teammates trust me, I trust myself. Other than today, I feel like I played really well, and yeah, I mean,
no, Nero, I told you played amazing.
No,
give yourself some
no.
credit.
Did you watch the game, man? You did not watch.
I did watch the game. I watched the whole thing.
No way you watched if you're saying I played well.
Right. Okay. You know what? I'm going to have a long talk with my fellow deck members, and we'll see if you really carried or not. Anyways, one final question. You know, there are a lot of good teams in the playoffs. Is there a team that you like specifically, that you personally want to beat in the playoffs?
Specifically. Not really, honestly. I don't really care who we play. Like, I don't really have a grudge versus anyone. I just want to win. I don't care who we play, to be honest.
All right. Well, with that being said, Nero, that is the end of the interview. Thank you so much for your time, and again, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, everybody, let's go back to the deck.
Right on. Thank you, Nero. Huge congrats to the San Francisco Shock. They made it into the next round, keeping their playoff dreams alive. And that also means that they're keeping their three-peat dreams alive. And your dreams, Danny, as well. Lots of dreams which haven't died today, which of course is, also Brent's mustache. It's very important. That one I kind of am happy to part with, but, you know, it's not up to me. Now, this one has been quiet, the back and forth, though. So I do want to reinforce, if we're looking at that match, which, yes, Shock came out on top, but did you see like super notable improvements from both these teams if we compare it to their previous performance from yesterday? Or do you think it was just overall stylistically maybe a better matchup when they went up against each other?
I think both parts definitely played a factor, and we saw that play out throughout the match. But I would like to give both teams credit, because I genuinely think they improved from their performances yesterday. Of course, the San Francisco Shock, they had some more room to play their own game. They didn't have to place a lip on that Sombra and Fled on the far out, which is a very dangerous comp when, as Nero just mentioned, they're very comfortable playing this Lucio Moira composition. And it sort of was a good composition against what the Philadelphia Fusion were bringing out, who I also think improved massively going into this series. The big question for the Fusion were, are we going to see them stick to one or two compositions and play to their own strengths? And I think for the most part of the series, they did so. They put Alarm on the Zenyatta, Mano spent some time on the Wrecking Ball, and they dived with Carpe and EQO on the dive composition, the Tracer and the Sombra. And I think that's a good composition for the Fusion. Now, the execution, at sometimes it was a bit iffy, especially on King's Row. I think they struggled here until the final third point, where they did hold off the Shock for some time. But in general, Zoe, I do think that both teams stepped up quite a bit for the series, and the payoff, of course, was a great back and forth 5-map series. Now, I do want to say, Danny, I think it was an amazing interview with Nero, because we got so many tidbits that we've been curious about from the Shock this entire season. Because the story of the Shock so far, it has been that they've had their ups and downs. The comfortability of some of these rookies being brought in, like Nero, for example, struggled a bit early on. Glister, of course, he had a great Ilios map. That was a player that struggled early on this series. But now they've started to find their groove. They look confident. They knew Ilios was a great map for them. And so overall, I am very satisfied with Shock's performance here, because I think they play to their strengths and they're